Welcome back, supporter of the cause. Hello Queen Bean.
Here is a text-to-speech function. to the starting soon screen where you will sit and wait like the good little thing you are. Have you ever just eaten an entire black forest cake to yourself? Oh yes, Abigail bought a self-series sword from The Witcher 3, would you like to see it? I wonder if anyone can even hear me. This music is so dang loud.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rogue Room. My name is Abigail Beck. How you doing, folks? How's the weekend been? Yes, indeed, I actually took the weekend off. I actually took days off stream actively. Can you even imagine it? Me, the girl who has an addiction to this shit. Like, quite frankly, I think I need to see a psychiatrist for how often I stream. I actually took 2 days off and planned to do that. And I did it. I didn't just skip a stream because I was fucked. I skipped the weekend because I could. Happy Easter, everybody. How you going, by the way? How was your Easter? Thank you for the hydration, Fox. And yes, indeed, Cat. He got a flea bath the other day, and all of a sudden, he's a lot more comfortable being in my room. I don't know what the deal is. I do not know what the deal is. I'll get that hydration going. Breaks are deserved. They are indeed. New logo. Look at this. New Rogue Room logo. That also goes with this thing that I did not need. But I'm going to show it to you anyway because I know you can see it. Also, I put some batteries in my portal gun. Do you like that? Check this bitch out. Look at that. Series sword from The Witcher 3. It's a knockoff replica, I think. It's not expensive. But it's nice. And I like it a lot. Look at the hilt on it. Look at that. Am I allowed to show swords on stream? I know there's one particular sword I'm not allowed to show you on stream. Who else sleeps with 3 weapons at the end of their bed? Do you sleep with 3 weapons at the end of your bed like I do on a regular basis? Because I totally leave them there, yeah. I can only imagine the disaster that would happen if I actually slept with them there. 3? Only 3, Draco says. You must be joking. I'm a little bit more privileged with that. Sleep with a blahage? What's a blahage? Got some really nice aromatherapy shower steamers. Oh my god. That sounds so good. That sounds so, like, relaxing. I need to get a bath bomb. I have a bath shower combo thing. I need to get a bath bomb and have a bath, dude. I don't know why I didn't do that. I don't know why I didn't do that on my weekend. There you go, by the way, Fox. You DM'd me a thing on Twitch. Or on something else. On Discord. Oh, on Discord. Okay, there we go. All good, all sorted, all good and dandy. So, you just don't like doing baths if it's not deep enough to cover all of your ones. Yeah, I get that. Like, my bath doesn't really... Like, I could probably fill it up that much. But it's a pretty standard size bath, so it's not particularly... I'm trying to, like, get out of the way so you can see him, look. He's just cleaning himself. He's just doing a clean. Zoom in on cat. And my nose. Anyway, hey Catalina, how's it going? A plushy shark from IKEA. Oh, okay, hang on, let me look this up. I need... Oh my god! Oh my goodness! Look at that! I need it. It would go well with all the other plush bullshit I've got. Also, I added a new one, but I don't know if anybody noticed just yet. It's one that I had sitting around. One that I had just sitting around, hiding away. So I decided I'd throw it in there. You might spot it, you might not spot it. Hello, Faster, how's it going? Just like Anakin in episode 2. Wait, what did I miss? I've forgotten so much of the prequel trilogy. When the Mormons massacred... Oh, hang on. The Mormons massacred an entire town in the Old West. No, I do not remember that. What's up, Phage? How's it hanging? How's it hanging, everybody? How's things going on, folks? Oh yeah, all the sand people, which... I mean, it totally makes sense that this would be considered a racist term, but like within the context of the universe. But like the idea... They're called Tuscans. Tuscan Raiders, I think. But... in universe, like, people call them sand people, and it's clearly a derogatory term towards them. No, I'm just, like, referring to the racial terminology in Star Wars. Like, it's a racist phrase in Star Wars. I think it's supposed to be a racist phrase. I think it's, like, everyone who refers to them as sand people does so with a pejorative intonation. I support the use of Tuscans. What's up, SpongeBob? How's it going? What's up, Billy? The women and children too. The Tuscans are basically the Star Wars analogy to Arabs. Yeah, it's not subtle, is it? It's not at all subtle by any stretch of the imagination. It's cool that they actually gave them some culture and meaning in Mandalorian, though. That was really cool. You know, they're not just an enemy to be shot dead. Yeah, made in the 70s, but he did continue that in the prequel trilogy. I don't believe Tusken Raiders showed up in the sequel trilogy, but the sequel trilogy sucked, so who cares? Yeah, Star Wars being subtle. Star Wars is not subtle. Star Wars is literally... Well... if I'm not mistaken, the original A New Hope was supposed to be in some ways a criticism of the Vietnam War, I think. In some ways. Like, there's allegories that could be made there. But I may be mistaken. I can't recall. Whole trilogy shows he does not know what he's doing. Yeah, no, true. It's kind of amusing, like, you look back at the original trilogy, and... Oh, the Ewoks beating the Imperials. Oh, okay, yeah, that would make more sense. Yeah, A New Hope was supposed to be the only movie, and it's kind of amazing that Star Wars took off in such a way that they made 2 sequels, and that was entirely unplanned, basically. They sort of rushed that together, I think, if I recall correctly. And then they tried to do the same thing with the prequel trilogy, and... not the prequel trilogy, sorry. The prequel trilogy was more properly planned out. They tried to do that with the sequel trilogy, if I recall correctly, and like they didn't plan anything. Or like maybe J.J. Abrams had a bit of a plan before they turfed him off for Rian Johnson in the second one. And then their whole plan just went out the window. Everything, if they had a plan in the first place, which I don't think they did. I think they just like churned out the story for each movie and then cranked it together. I don't know. I hated the sequels. They were terrible. There you go again, Fox. Main thing you like in the sequels was killing Snow. Yeah, but the problem was... Well, yeah, this character sucks. The problem was they didn't do it in a satisfactory way. It was just like, okay, this guy is now dead. All the mystique around him is gone. And then they just bring back the big bad from the original series. And it's kind of very, very uninspired, very uninteresting. And I'm like... the whole trilogy sucked. The only good thing was that lightsaber. I got the Kylo Ren lightsaber. That's the only good thing about the sequel trilogy. I will say that right now. Kylo Ren's design and his lightsaber. And honestly, his character arc is quite satisfying overall. Yeah, Adam Driver was good. Adam Driver was good in that movie. He was. I now want a blahage. I'm looking at this and I'm like, I want a blahage. I want blahage. Yeah, Ben Swallow. Can I show that on stream? It's so amazing. Like when this screen grab, it was a leak. If I'm not mistaken, this was a leak before the movie actually came out. Or like the movie had just come out and somebody took a photo in the cinema. It's such an unusual... I think... It looks like somebody on... Let me have a look here. He is juicy thick. It looks like Star Wars Battlefront. I'm assuming... It looks like somebody has modded Battlefront 2, I guess, to have Ben Swallow as an option. Also, can I just point out, if you look at this, you zoom in. I always hated this stupid fucking band-aid they put on his face. Why the fuck, like, first and foremost, he got a cut on his face in The Force Awakens, and then in the one after that, which I've forgotten the name of, he's got this big ugly band-aid on his face, and the scar has moved.
Another round.
Winona, you did not need to cheer me 490 bits, but I greatly appreciate it. You've now cheered a total of 1,000. Is that why you cheered 490 specifically? So you could reach 1,000? Because I desperately appreciate that so much. Thank you so kindly. Images Squarespace. Squarespace. Oh my god, I need it. I believe there was actually, this is like we're getting into Star Wars talk to start the stream off, I guess, whatever. I have always liked Star Wars, which is why I hate the sequels. You know, because they kind of look at him. Look at him going. He's cleaning himself over there. What about the trans people in sports ball? We'll come back around to my latest YouTube video if you would like to check it out. I put out a 42-minute YouTube video today, which I've been working on for like 6 weeks. So, well, realistically speaking, I didn't work on it for that long. It's been basically done for a good week or two now. But I finally got around to uploading the bastard. Hopefully the next video will not take so long. Favorite Star Wars movie and character? Probably Empire Strikes Back, I think. Character, probably Han Solo, I think. Yeah, I think so. Or prequel Obi-Wan Kenobi, of course. Mace Windu is up there. And in terms of pure character aesthetic, Kit fucking Fisto. I tell you, when I first saw Kit Fisto in the prequels, I was like, oh my god, he's a badass. Like this squiddy tentacle looking dude with the black eyes. He's just sick. He's just sick. And he gets such a shit death. Holy hell. Okay, poll. Let's run the poll. There you go, here is a 2-minute quick and dandy poll for you. Star Wars or Star Trek, which one do you like? I've been meaning to watch Clone Wars, but a friend of mine has just got me into The Last Airbender, so I'm checking that out first before I get into any other shows. For the time being, you refuse to vote. Star Wars is good from a pure hyper fantasy escapism perspective, whereas Star Trek is more this idealistic, political, heavily political sort of situation. A lot more thought put into the storytelling in Star Trek, whereas Star Wars is just, let's use a bunch of potential real-world issues. Oh yeah, the earrings. You like the earrings? The little bow ties. They got little dangly bits. Look at them. I can get earrings now because my studs can come out, so I can take my studs out and I can wear cute ones. Never watched much Star Trek. From what you do know, you respect it and how progressive it was. Yeah, it's always been a progressive, very, like I said, heavily political series that focuses much more on the depth of the storytelling than, say, something like Star Wars, which is just move from action sequence to action sequence, pretty much, especially the sequel trilogy. So that's a bit of a failing. Creator went out of his way to cast a black lady and an Asian man, etc. Yeah, and I think the first interracial kiss on television was between, and I believe William Shatner actually pushed for this, which is, William Shatner is cringe, but you know, Uhura and Kirk, yeah. You like a little DS9 clip every so often? I do need to continue watching Star Trek because I've got the original series on DVD, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I actually own DVDs. Me, a human, owns DVDs. I don't know how, but I do. Okay, so Star Trek wins with 7 votes. Star Wars gets 4 votes. Stargate's good. What I recall of it was good. Let me think. Yeah, DVDs are rare sighting. You own VHS tapes. Oh my god. I just wet my panties the moment I show up in the apartment. Hey Hecklin, how's it going? Like, you fucked the emote up. Didn't vote because you haven't seen Star Trek, but it'd still win. It probably would. I need to watch more Star Trek, but the problem with Star Trek is the new movies suck ass. The new movies of Star Trek suck arse. Hello, Solace. How's it going? First kiss on American TV? I don't think so. I don't think it'd be the first kiss. First interracial kiss is what it was. Yeah, Star Trek for people who don't like Star Trek. That's how I've heard it described as well. As like the Star Trek movies with Chris, one of the Chris's, whichever Chris it was, one of those Chris's, Chris Pine. They're just action movies. They're not. There's nothing Star Trek-y about them at all when I watch them. What I've seen of Star Trek, and I've seen a fair bit of The Next Generation and a fair bit of the original series, doesn't resonate anything at all like the Star Trek that I've seen. It's just using the aesthetic and it's not even the aesthetic. It's modern day hyper CGI sort of, yeah. There were no ideals, morals, or politics. There were, there's the thing is, there's politics and everything, but it was very surface level. It's just very, you can relate with every major protagonist character, you can understand all their points, and you can't, I don't know. There wasn't any finesse to the Star Trek movies. Star Wars is dystopian and Star Trek is utopian. You enjoy both worlds as sci-fi stories, but you'd rather live in Star Trek. Yeah, I think that's true, Carpe. I think that's where I'd go as well, you know. And, Star Trek overall seems like it's, I don't know. I feel like I enjoy the format of Star Trek more, but the thing is, it's kind of unusual to consider that Star Wars and Star Trek go head-to-head so much, considering Star Trek was largely known during its heyday for being a television series. There are movies, there have always been movies, but, Star Wars was always a film series. There's a distinct difference there. Hello, Rooster. How you going? Typical moviegoer. Don't be mean to politics. The new Star Trek movies reference the old Star Trek like pop culture bullet points. Yep, that's what I gleaned from it. Also, notice how all the Klingons we see. I don't think we see a single Klingon without their helmet. No money in the Federation. I can't imagine a world without money. It would just,
Another round.
And Rooster, thank you so much for the 10 bits. Thank you so kindly. I can imagine a world with no money. I think they actually had money in the new Star Trek movies. Can someone confirm for me if they had money in the new Star Trek movies? I don't recall. I think they did. I feel like I remember references to units or credits or something. I know, you can confirm it made money. I do distinctly recall Guardians of the Galaxy used units. What's money? Money is the thing that you give me for providing this great entertainment. Credits will be fine. Also, I got an infinity cube. Look at this. It's got the trans colors on it. I got an infinity cube. You like fold it and flip it and it turns into a cube and you just like, yeah. I just wanted to show you this because we got a new fidget toy now. It's not as good as the cube. The cube is the best. The cube is fantastic. Because this is an actual, like, this is a legit, what's it called? Not ThinkGeek. The brand. And this one is a knockoff of the actual Infinity Cube ones. But that Fidget Cube and this Infinity Cube. I mean, the Infinity Cube is a different brand from the Fidget Cube brand, if I recall correctly. Anyway, money is exchanged for goods and or services. Yeah, I got 2 cubes now. I got 2 cubes and a fidget spinner, which is not the best. It's a shuriken though. It's a shuriken. You know what they say? Idle hands are the devil's playthings. That's why you keep your hands busy. Why can't I have 3 money and no kids? No, it's no kids and 3 money. Things that click. Yeah, this has got click. This has got clicky, clicky, click. Let's do some ASMR here. One of these is stuck. One of my little bubble pop things is stuck. This button here will not go down anymore. So I got 2 buttons that have a satisfying press. 2 that are really soft for some reason, but I don't necessarily hate it. We got our little spinny bit. I think that's everything. And then you got this one, which you just rub your thumb on. Which I don't know what that's supposed to do. But I'm autistic as all fuck, so this stuff actually does a lot for me. And then we got this, which if I click this. Got his attention. Hello Turquoise, how's it going? Hold up. He doesn't like being on the floor for some reason. Oh no, I kicked the microphone, sorry. I apologize, I do desperately apologize. I need a good microphone, friends. I'm telling you right now. Your girl needs a really good microphone. Rub the inside of the first joint of your thumb with your index and middle fingers to stim. So the inside of the first joint of your thumb with your index and middle fingers. Like that? Is that what you mean? Is that? Got some news you'll share next time we talk. Sounds good. Floors are for mortals. Yeah, he plays the floor is lava for some reason. He does not like being on the floor in any capacity. Well, sometimes he does. He doesn't mind it too bad sometimes, but most of the time he hates being on the floor in my bedroom. It's weirdly satisfying, isn't it? Hecklin, go fuck yourself and go watch my new video and enjoy my snake. What I've got on my finger. Look at it. Look at my snack. Do you like my snack? I got a snack. It's baby. It's a golden. Well, it's a golden painted snack. It's probably plastic. I know eventually this thing is going to start leaving like green marks on my fingers. It's one of those. But it's cute as all hell and I'm like, I need it. I needed this and I like it. It's okay. I can show this snake on stream. I can't show the other one. I can't show my sword or my snake or my my titanium rod. As a trans girl, how acceptable are making jokes about penises? I don't know, like, what the... What's happening right now? We're just chilling. We don't really have... I mean, I've got a whole list of stories we can talk about, but... we've just been sort of chilling for the moment. Talking Star Wars, talking Star Trek, talking hydration is good. Talking Lil Nas X's latest song is still just living rent-free in my head. Turquoise, have a good one. Thank you so kindly for swinging by. Oh, hello, Fallen. How's it going? I have a story. Fine if you make penis jokes personally. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily too bad of a thing. Moist Critical, not the actual Moist Critical, but welcome to the Rogue Room, regardless. Oh, we've got our follow alerts turned off. I'll turn that back on for now. Story time. We can do a story. We can do a story if you want. Well, a news story, I mean, like, not one of my personal stories. But I did release my YouTube video, that's a story. Is that a story? Do you like that? Do you like that? That's a story, folks. You know, I'm pretty happy with the fact that I finally got that video out. Let me see the, yeah, okay. It's up there. It's working. It's behaving. It's doing the things that a video should do. I feel like the fact that the video is 42 minutes long is probably dissuading certain people from watching it. It's very hefty. But if you type !new vid into the chat or !sports, it does this now. Immovable rod, yeah. The cat's gonna move around a bit. Fall asleep to 40-minute videos. Fair, fair. Sometimes I'm like, I want to watch an hour-long video, but at the same time, it's a heavy investment, you know? And yet, you know, we'll go watch movies, we'll watch TV shows that have hour-long episodes and the like. Last night I watched My Neighbor Totoro. I've never seen that before. So that's 3 Miyazaki films that I've seen now. My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, and Spirited Away. Totoro was great. I thought it was fantastic. Said this last stream, but you know me. Can't remember anything. Where I got my throw was on Dangerfield, which I don't think they have anymore. I don't believe they have anymore. They've got a mask. Oh my... Oh, no they don't. It's gone. Hang on. So here is... If I go on Dangerfield, this is what they've got available. They've got an emotionally exhausted eye mask for $10. The cushion and the emotionally exhausted top, but not the throw rug. The throw rug, I got the throw rug, so you gotta just... Or throw blanket, whatever it's called. You got a deal. You can just look at it in my stream and acknowledge it and admire it. Like I told you about, mentioned your channel, she's 100% into the channel. Oh, cool, awesome. Hello, Roy, how's it going? Did I see Adam Savage's Totoro? I think, was it his Totoro costume or his no-face costume? And I'm not going to make a more digestible version of the video, no. I put too much effort into that, I'm not going to make a shorter version, no. Laputa Castle in the Sky is the first Miyazaki you saw. It was in an indie theater at LA in 1989. I'll have to give that. I'll add that to the list. I wouldn't mind getting through like as many of them as I can because I really liked Howl's Moving Castle, and that's what sort of got me into the Miyazaki films. Howl's Moving Castle was great. I love that just there's this feeling of mysticism and magic that Hayao Miyazaki's films capture that other animated films in similar genres have not. You know, when I've seen other similar films, they just don't capture the same kind of escapism. I don't know what it is. The gaze cometh, yeah. No hate comments yet. We'll get there. The other Ghibli movies not by him, Only Yesterday and Whisper of the Heart are great. Okay. Give those a look. Heise Tanuki Gassen Pompoko is high on your Miyazaki list. I'm like fiddling with this because I can see something is wrong with it and I don't like that. I don't know what it is. Got a cute pink nightgown with love hearts on it. Nice. Thank you for the posture check. Oh my goodness. So yeah, there was a bit of discussion recently. Because thank you for the posture check. Controversial new Studio Ghibli trailer leaves fans unhappy a CGI movie by the studio. I don't believe this is a Miyazaki film. It's just a Ghibli film. But yeah, like they released this. I have not seen this. Here we're getting The Witch apparently, and there's something about, you know, like a CGI film trying to somewhat capture a 2D look, if you know what I mean. At that point, I'd just be like, why don't you just do a 2D movie? CGI, how dare they? Here it is. So what's this? Oh yeah, Adam Savage Incognito as Totoro. I have seen like this is rather amusing. Look at this. I won't play it with the audio just in case. Imagine the amount, like, honestly, like just even a costume that's about even a costume that's a regular person size, not a big bulky endeavor like this. The amount of effort some people go into, the amount of effort some people expend to create the costumes that you see at these conventions and the like, is honestly baffling. I could not imagine having all the skills necessary to put, you know, something like that together. Something like number of other ones. Yeah, he's a special effects artist. The Mythbusters guy, one of the two Mythbusters guys. It's funny how we mention that, and like, excuse me. Funny how we mention, you know, the Mythbusters guys as Jamie Hyneman and Adam Savage, and then like not the rest of them. Oh, we've talked about Graham Linehan a lot on this channel, honestly. We've talked a lot about Graham Linehan. Has he done anything lately, or is he just still on the same trite garbage? Let's have a look at his blog really quickly. Graham Linehan. This is sad. Oh my goodness, this is fucking hilarious. I just searched Linehan. I just searched the surname. His Wikipedia page is the first to come up, but American psychologist Marsha M. Linehan is the recommended Wikipedia page on Google. Okay. What I should have looked up is Glinner. The Glinner update. Let me read it first. What's he got up here? He's got something that looks like it involves what's their name? What is their name? Kira Bell. He's put up something about Kira Bell by the look of things as one of his latest situations. Anywho. Yes, R.I.P. Granty Mahara. Google like here's a better Linehan. You gotta go, Catalina. Have a good one. Hello, Zaranaxu. I don't think, like, my personal stance on the Kira Bell situation. Hello, Paul. How you going? My personal stance on the Kira Bell situation is that what I've heard about Kira Bell's particular circumstances and the reason that they detransitioned is because they were in an intensely oppressive environment that did not, like, everyone around them didn't want them to transition, and
I see you.
Hey, Rooster, thank you for the raid.
Welcome, friends.
Yeah, my personal interpretation. What were you doing on your stream, by the way? My personal interpretation of it. Otto Rushka, welcome to the Red Room. 100% envy at the very least. That's the feeling I get. And being in the UK, like, Kira Bell is already existing in a country where being trans is frowned upon to begin with, right? So imagine that their family and their friends, their social circles in general, disapprove. I'm like, this is not a thing you should do. You're just confused, you know, or whatever it is. There was a podcast. I wouldn't mind actually tracking it down and listening to it, because I believe there is actually an interview with Kira on this particular podcast. I've lost it for the time being, but I will find it. And everything that they say points to the idea that they were in a distinctly repressive and abusive environment that caused them to detransition because of that social pressure. And then this turned into a big anti-trans crusade, you know? Paul, there you go. With a bit of snake. You like the snake? So this is the problem with detransitioners, right? You've already got trans people as like less than 1% of the population, or it's estimated that maybe even with trans people that are in the closet, it could be as many as 3% of the population. But that's beside the point, you know. But you've got, say, 1% of the population being trans and 1% of trans people being detransitioners, right? So you've got this very small minority within a minority, and they're trying to use the point of people who detransition, commonly people who are similar to Kira Bell, where you know, where they are in an environment where people are not supportive in any way, shape, or form, and not helping them through the process. What was I going to say? They're using that as an attack on all of trans people. So you've got, yeah, I think it's actually less than 0.5% of people detransition, yeah. So what they're trying to do is, you know, normalize stopping people from transitioning. Yeah, fuck the other 199 out of 200, right? So, like, if one person out of 200 detransitions, the other 199 get thrown in the trash for it. People are being basically bullied into detransitioning, therefore we can delegitimize all trans people. That's basically what I was trying to say, yeah. Feel bad, Tran. Yeah. And then you've got... Honestly, you know what I want to look at? Has Blair White... Yes, the Blair White. Okay, wanker. Go drive down the street. Has Blair White ever commented on detransitioners? There's also a detransition subreddit, detrans subreddit, which tends to push that whole agenda of, yes, I'm going to use the phrase agenda. They're using an agenda to make transgender people look bad. By saying, look, these people detransitioned. People do different things. Doesn't mean you should take away the rights of everybody else. You know? Heard that small peen rev. It happens so often. It's fucking annoying, dude. I'm like, can we fucking don't? Followed you. Welcome to the row group. Like, yes, we need to educate people more, and I mean, I try to do that through this avenue here. I try to teach people, you know, why transition is not a bad thing, why transition is not something you should be afraid of, why your child who might be transitioning, who might be transgender, is not a confused gay child, you know. I mean, I transitioned and became gay as a result of it. But yeah, the problem is, as much as we want to educate people about these topics, one, the systems in place in like, there's already a lot of discussion around not teaching children that gender is more than male, female, that there is such a thing as transitioning, that there is such a thing as non-binary. There's already a lot of issue in the concept of, say, schooling in particular, primary and high schooling. It's like they don't want to teach children when they are in their formative years, when they're first sort of conceiving these ideas in their head and really grasping onto these basic concepts. Yeah, Mark Latham is a good example. Fucking wanker. They really do not want kids in school learning anything other than the gender binary, the sex binary, which gender and sex are not a binary by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to push as hard as they possibly can to prevent trans from being a thing, to prevent non-binary people from being a thing. Hell, like, ultimately the people in charge of this kind of decision-making would like to go back and work back gay rights as well. Like, that's one of the things they want to do. And they've been steadily losing ground, you know. Over the years, they've been steadily losing ground in this fight against queer people. The unfortunate reality, though, is right now, amidst the trans community and amidst the queer community overall, we've now got the issue of there are things like the LGB Alliance, which is a group of queer people who explicitly do not like the fact that trans people exist. A transphobic queer group. And so that just means, like, we've got to fight for as many allies as we can get, and that makes it harder and harder to educate people when, systemically speaking, a lot of people see trans people as a joke. You know, a lot of people see trans people as something to be mocked, something to be derided, and they see it as something like, they see it as, for example, they see people like us as mentally ill. They see it as, like, I mean, gender dysphoria is a mental illness. But, or as far as I can tell, as far as I'm aware, it's a mental illness. But being transgender is not. You know, transitioning is... I think what I've heard is gender dysphoria is a mental illness and the treatment is transition. Like, it's not like you can create a pill that will stop people from feeling gender dysphoria. At best, what you might come across is somebody might prescribe antidepressants thinking it's some kind of depressive episode, and that cures nothing. That just completely turns the person into a walking corpse, basically emotionally dead. I don't know why people's decisions on being themselves affect some people. It's your life, you can do what the fuck you want, because it's your life, as the awesome Billy Joel put it. Yes, exactly. Or Bon Jovi. He saw some dumbass on TikTok the other day trying to claim that making people respect your pronouns is restricting their speech. Yeah, this is the thing that Jordan Peterson did. This is the thing that Jordan Peterson did, I believe. Was it the... Let me have a look. Jordan Peterson. Let me think for a second. Are the trolls gone? Were there trolls NBSP? I don't even recall seeing any. What did he say? He's basically, like, Jordan Peterson had the argument that if people started using, neo-pronouns, or if people started using pronouns that were not... Oh, I got rid of the bots last time we streamed, yeah. They're gone. What was I going to say? Where is he? Where is it? There was a specific thing which relates, is it this article, maybe? Custodian of the Patriarchy? Yeah, this might be the one. Where he made the argument that, I think Canada was trying to pass some laws or something along those lines, and he argued against them because of the discussion that, yes, restricting someone's speech, as a result of, if I say my pronouns are she and her, because they are. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a trans woman, and those are my pronouns. And he argues the point that if he doesn't believe in transgender people, that it's restricting his speech to not be able to misgender a transgender person. He wants the opportunity to say to a trans woman, you're a he, you're a man, and the reality of the situation there is that's just flagrant disrespect for a person's identity, when all that person who is identifying in that way is saying is, the most foundational level of respect, the most basic level of, your freedom of speech does not extend to hate speech. Exactly. So it's like, yeah, you can call me the wrong pronouns, you can call me the wrong name if you like, but that means I'm probably going to distance myself from you, and so are many other people. As a result. Sorry, not as a regard. These people will call someone by their actual pronouns if they pass them, find out they're trans, and modify their speech specifically to disrespect them. See the video about Elliot Page, by Ben Shapiro, I mean. See the video by Ben Shapiro about Elliot Page, and how many times he struggles to get the correct, or the incorrect pronouns. How much he struggles to dead name Elliot Page. It's an active endeavor on their part. They want to go out of their way to be cruel to these people. People like Ben Shapiro. So what's this? Senate hearing on Bill C-16. Here we go. Is this what we're talking about? Jordan Peterson. So the first 5 minutes of this. All right. Yeah, talking fast does not make you smart. It says, I do that. But anyway. Let's have a look at this. All right. Hang on a second. Let's make sure that we can actually hear this.
Good afternoon, and welcome colleagues, invited guests, members of the general public who are following today's proceedings of the Standing Senate Committee on Legal and Constitutional Affairs. Today we continue our consideration of Bill C-16, an act to amend the Canadian Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code. With this, our last day of hearings on the bill. We will move to clause by clause.
I've got that cranked way up. What the hell, dude? I can barely hear that. Have I got that all the way up? Yeah, that's all the way up.
Tomorrow. With us today for the first hour are Jordan B. Peterson, Professor, Psychology Department of the University of Toronto. And from
Just listen very closely, because I can't turn the volume up any louder than that.
The D. Jared Brown Professional Corporation. D. Jared Brown, lead counsel. Thank
That
you,
turns it up for
gentlemen,
me.
for being here. You both have up to 5 minutes for opening statements. And Mr. Peterson, I believe you're going to lead off, Professor. The floor is yours.
So I think the first thing I'd like to bring up is that it's not obvious when considering a matter of this sort what level of analysis is appropriate. If you're reading any given document, you can look at the words or the phrases or the sentences or the complete document, or you can look at the broader context within which it is likely to be interpreted. And when I first encountered Bill C-16 and its surrounding policies, it seemed to me that the appropriate level of analysis was to look at the context of interpretation surrounding the bill, which is what I did when I went and scoured the Ontario Human Rights Commission web pages and examined its policies. I did that because at that point the Department of Justice had clearly indicated on their website in a link that was later taken down that Bill C-16 would be interpreted within the policy precedents already established by the Ontario Human Rights Commission. So when I looked on the website, I thought, well, there's broader issues at stake here, and I tried to outline some.
No, Connie, we're looking back at why we're sort of getting some context for Jordan Peterson's specific transphobia and more of a bit of a context around the way that transphobes tend to use the discussion of restriction of free speech to justify their viewpoints.
Some of those broader issues in the initial, you may or may not know, I made some videos criticizing Bill C-16 and a number of its of the policies that surrounding it. And I think the most egregious elements of the policies are that it requires compelled speech.
Let's just stop there. Compelled speech is a common tactic, common argument, common enemy. 909, Peterson and Shapiro are just entertainers. Yes, at the end of the day, that's basically what they are. The thing with Peterson is he is an educated intellectual person, but the problem is his personal viewpoints override his intellectual stances. He is a psychologist, if I am not mistaken. He is specifically a psychologist. So he is an educated person, but he has learned that a good tactic for formulating an audience is to keep just rambling with different big words and surround them. Like he knows really well how to extrapolate an idea that can be summed up in a very small phrase, probably the length of a tweet, but he drags it out. He knows how to drag it out and make himself look a lot smarter to his audience of people who are generally speaking fairly ignorant and uneducated, right? Ben wanted to become a Hollywood writer and failed, got bitter and became an angry political commentator. And people like Shapiro,
I see you've brought
Dr.
guests.
Heamed out.
Welcome.
Well, hello
friends.
everyone. Welcome to the Rogue Room. How's it going, folks? That came out of nowhere. We were just reacting to Jordan Peterson, I suppose. Using elite vocabulary. That's a good way to put it. Yes, that's a good way to phrase it. Yeti Signy, how's it going? Pope Mindless, welcome, folks. How's it hanging? We'll come back to Peterson in a moment. How was the stream? What did you get up to? Let me turn the volume down on this. Goodness me. I think that worked. Welcome in, Raiders. I hope you're all well. How'd the stream go, Heamed? What'd you get up to? Tell us all about it, folks. Tell us all about it. Seema Garuda. Welcome to the Rogue Room. Public Loser, welcome to the Rogue Room. He's kind of antagonizing me. Lucky Paul's just like that. You recently learned that during the American Civil War, there were about a dozen studies done on the behavior of black soldiers versus white soldiers, and all but one found there was zero difference in the ethics and integrity of all of them. And guess which study the government used to make policy? Oh yeah. Oh, I know, exactly. Heamed, Mr. Nuts, Sphere 2, welcome formally to the Rogue Room. I'm Abigail. How's it going, folks? Is Peterson out of rehab yet? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he is. Yes. Yeah, I think so. Mr. P, welcome to the Rogue Room. Does anyone know if Peterson's out of rehab? We were just discussing like the idea of compelled speech and how this is often used by transphobes to, well, I mean, the idea, of course, is that, you make the argument that if someone is transgender, commonly speaking, they are, if someone is transgender, common reference is myself going male to female, going from he, him pronouns to she, her pronouns. The argument being made by opponents to the concept of using different pronouns, the idea of compelled speech, that the government is going to start enforcing laws that say you cannot refer to a transgender person as the wrong pronouns because it's the wrong speech. It can become hate speech or something like that. And Peterson argues on the front of, if they can do this, and I don't think the laws are even specifically saying it's hate speech. Peterson is arguing, like, if you say, I can't refer to a transgender person by a disrespectful terminology that doesn't align with their identity, then how long is it before the government starts enforcing all these other things and all of a sudden we can no longer speak in any reasonable free form? Commie Scum, Potato Band, plug, welcome to the Road Room, folks. How's it going? Circumcision is barbaric and shouldn't be done to young children. Had it done back in 2017 due to a medical reason. The slippery slope argument, yeah. So the discussion, the argument being made is something, and this is honestly kind of the thing that we do in a sense as well. We do have this issue, and it is a real issue in some capacity, that if one change is made, it could lead to bigger changes that are more significant. You know? But God, now I'm debunking myself. Fantastic. Politic bad. Neuter modding. Well, I mean, yeah. But Paul tends to jerk around a bit, yeah. Anyway, as we were going, so I'm belching like crazy. I've had too much soda today. Fuck.
The Ontario Human Rights Commission explicitly states that refusing to refer to a person by their self-identified name and proper personal pronoun, which is the pronouns that I was objecting to, can be interpreted as harassment, and so that's explicitly defined in the relevant policies. So I think that's
in this particular circumstance, I feel like Peterson has actually covered the very topic I was trying to unpack there a lot more eloquently. I have to give him credit where credit is due. He was able to actually sufficiently wrap that up in a way that I couldn't deduce. So yeah, if there was an example recently, I think we were supposed to cover this news story, but we didn't actually get around to it. There was a story that featured another professor, another university professor, who sued, I think, the university he was teaching at because a transgender student complained that the professor was using the wrong name and pronouns for that student. So the student transitioned while in this person's class, while in this professor's class, and the professor was facing reprimand for using the wrong name, using the wrong pronouns, using the way that that person had previously identified prior to transition. The university came down on him and said, no, you're not allowed to do that. And then he apparently, if I recall correctly, I'll have to find the article, he sued the university and won. He won a settlement or something along those lines. And yeah, just being a massive dick, basically. Like, there's no reason. If somebody transitions, if somebody comes out and is openly saying, you know, this is my name, this is my pronouns, and you go out of your way to disrespect them in that regard, you're just being a massive dick. Welcome to the Rogue Room, MDHJ. How you going? No, he absolutely had to have known, because the person made it aware. Stop for a second, Peterson. Stop. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. Let me find it. This would be the one. Yeah, this would be the one. Here we go. Conman, welcome to the Rogue Room. How's folks going tonight? Here we go. So, a Christian professor of philosophy who was reprimanded for refusing to refer to a trans student as a woman can pursue his lawsuit against Shawnee State University in Ohio, a federal appeals court said Friday. So this was as of March 2019 was when this article was published. So it's in the past week. Shawnee State punished a professor for his speech on a hotly contested issue. Trans people should not be a hotly contested issue. Thank you very kindly. But anyway, a Christian professor says, I have no issue with Christians who are good Christians, is the thing. Anyway, But a lot of people like him are not a good representation of Christians. The case stemmed from a 2018 political philosophy class in which the professor, Nicholas Merriweather, called a trans woman Sir. Merriweather said it happened accidentally as no one informed him of the student's preferred pronoun. After class, the student demanded to be called Ms., like other female students, and threatened to have him fired if he didn't, according to Merriweather's lawsuit. The university initially asked Merriweather to stop using masculine and feminine titles and gendered pronouns, but he argued this was next to impossible. It's not. They, them exist. Instead, he would refer to the student in question by her last name only. That's rude. The student was dissatisfied with this approach, understandable, as Merriweather continued to address other students as Ms. and Mr. Merriweather also called the student Mr. again in front of the class by accident. Sorry if I don't believe that. Purple Squirrel, welcome to the Rogue Room. How you doing? The elusive singular they. I know, it's funny how this guy's a professor and forgot that singular theys exist. The student allegedly threatened to sue Shawnee State, which in turn pressured Merriweather to further address the student in her preferred manner. Merriweather agreed on the condition he could put a disclaimer in his syllabus about how he was following the university's pronoun policy under compulsion and stating his views about biological sex and gender being one and the same, immutable. See, like, this is where it falls apart. You know, he makes the argument that he was being compelled, makes the argument that he was being repressed, and then suddenly it becomes about his views about sex and gender being one and the same, and that kind of destroys the whole thing, doesn't it? Shakespeare was an SJW cuck. GTA 5, yeah, true. Biological sex, biological sex is a thing, but sex is a spectrum. When they start saying biological gender, that's when it falls apart. You're in JROTC class and we're all referred to by last name only, but if he was, it was only that student, he wouldn't refer to them as Ms., and then he accidentally called them Mr. again. And otherwise referred to that student by their surname, which is just horrendous. Tremendously disrespectful, honestly. Merriweather argued against it. Oh, hang on, wait. Merriweather's dean rejected this as incompatible with the university's gender identity policy. The case was referred to the university's Office for Compliance with Title IX. Why is it always Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972, which prohibits gender-based discrimination? Merriweather, who continued to refer to the student by her last name only, was found to have created a hostile environment, for her by a disparate treatment. Again, he continued to call other students Mr. and Ms. So, imagine if I'm calling everyone else here who is cisgender. Imagine if I called you all Mr. and Ms. Then, I see one of you. Well, this doesn't make any sense because you've all got usernames and I refer to you by your usernames anyway. So, yeah. What if I call everyone else by their usernames and then I call one particular person, hey, you with the red name? Which doesn't really make a lot of sense because there's a lot of red names in chat, but anyway. Fasting before blood work is hell. It absolutely is. I've got to do it soon. On the 12th, I've got a blood test, and I don't like fasting. Last time I went in for a blood test, they said I had to do a fasting test, and I hadn't had anything to eat in the past 12 hours anyway, but the doctor was like, no, you have to wait and do a fasting test tomorrow. And I'm like, but I haven't eaten today. I've already not eaten in 12 hours. Why can't I do it now? Can you smoke while fasting? Google part number that Peterson is a massive one. All right, hang on. Volkswagen Currywurst. Is that what you mean? Okay. Anyway. Please forgive me chat and stream and read my whole message, but I actually agree Peterson should not have a society where laws aren't needed to do what should or should not be said. However, this is not the world we live in, and shitty people will be shitty. Yeah, apparently Peterson's a currywurst. In an ideal scenario, we wouldn't have to worry about people like this professor or Jordan Peterson or other people getting their knickers in a twist. I shouldn't have said that phrase. Meaning underpants. They shouldn't get their underpants in a twist. Anyway. Yeah, people like Peterson and all that shouldn't get their undies in a twist about pronouns, but we do live in a situation where they think that they are completely under duress and being for being compelled to speak under a certain level of language that they find incompatible with their worldview. You know. There you go, Detroit. It's because your hormones change in the day and they make... Oh, really? Largest maker of currywurst in the world. There you go. I didn't know that. Hydration time. Thank you. Thank you so kindly. Let's continue watching this, which is really low volume. Sorry about that.
There hasn't been a piece of legislation that requires Canadians to utter a particular form of address that has particular ideological implications before, and I think that it's a line that we should...
Again, like he said ideological, referring to the idea of the trans ideology. Transgender is not an ideology. Transgender is gender identity. He's trying to make the argument that being transgender or being an ally of trans people is some kind of specific political stance, when realistically the only political stance anyone is taking is him arguing against using someone's preferred pronouns. Nazis and sausages.
Cross.
I don't think I can put Nazis in the title.
Then I think that the definition of identity that's enshrined in the surrounding policies is ill-defined and poorly thought through and also incorrect. It's incorrect in that identity is not and will never be something that people define subjectively, because your identity is something that you actually have to act out in the world as a set of procedural tools, which most people learn, and I'm being technical about this, between the ages of 2 and 4. It's a fundamental...
Interesting take. Interesting idea. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean, who am I to question a professor of psychology? But what I'm reading into that, what I'm hearing from that, what I'm understanding from that is between the ages of 2 and 4, our identity is formed and set in stone, and you can't evolve your identity beyond what you learn at that young age, when most kids don't even have, realistically speaking, any concept of their identity at 2 and 4. You know, I remember my children between the ages of 2 and 4. I mean, my son has only just turned 5. You know, and yeah, he's got a bit of identity of his own. I know what he likes. I know what kind of a person he is. But am I misinterpreting what Peterson was saying? But it's like, that's what people say. I'm maybe. People are just petty and cruel sometimes. Shit, being fat is still fair game to be publicly harassed about. It absolutely is. You know what's worse is fat comedians normalize it. People like Gabriel Iglesias and such, they normalize making fun of fat people all the time with their self-deprecation of the context of the concept. I feel like you're giving Peterson too much credit. Just look up a lecture of him talking about Freud, for example. He's just so dumb. And yeah, having a PhD doesn't necessarily make someone smart. True. It definitely seems to me like he's got entrenched viewpoints on the world. He's got some very deep-seated... Was Gabriel the one out for stealing jokes? No, I think it was another guy. It wasn't Gabriel Iglesias, I don't think. It was someone else that was stealing jokes. I know who you mean, though. I do know who you mean, though. Yeah, he could have gotten his degree with some greased palms. Peterson definitely strikes me as the kind of person who would have the connections to, and maybe the income. He strikes me as someone from a particularly wealthy background. Just based off everything. Just a rough guess. I don't know his actual financial background. I don't know, like, his origin as a person. I don't know, for example, what his parentage is, but it's Carlos Mencia. That's it. That's the one. Did I play Earthworm Jim on Sega? The creator is a right-wing Christian nutjob. Well, shit. That sucks. I actually liked Earthworm Jim. Fucking hell, dude. But anyway, yeah, like, I can't speak to Peterson's actual origins as a, with regards to, like, his level of, say, financial privilege, but most certainly, hello, cat, I can see you scratching yourself in the background there. Most certainly there are a number of people who've gotten degrees purely off the back of having wealthy parents, for example. A couple of people in left book groups you're in have been critiquing Beyonce for using Sri Lankan sweatshop labor. Seen a lot of white liberals? Is that what you mean, white liberals? Jumping in like, no, you can't criticize people of color for taking part in capitalism. Oh my god. Oh. He was on with Vorsh. Do you mean the creator of Earthworm Jim? Hey, Third Winchester, how's it going? How you going? Oh, you mean he was on a podcast with Vorsh? Okay, I get you. But anyway, let's continue watching a bit. Seems odd for a psychologist to insist that people's personalities don't change after age 4. Yeah, like that's an odd take.
The mental human reality, it's well recognized by the relevant identity.
Let's get back a bit.
Something that you actually have to act out, something that people define subjectively, because your identity is something that you actually have to act out in the world as a set of procedural tools, which most people learn, and I'm being technical about this, between the ages of 2 and 4.
When he says that, that honestly strikes me as something that I learned in class about how the concept of youth wasn't really a thing until sometime in the past century or so. I can't remember specifically when, but up until a certain point in human history, once you reach the age of 12 or 13, you were already a part of the workforce. Yeah, the 50s, like post World War II, the teenager generation, right? And it strikes me as like, maybe, is he really referencing essentially traditional gender role identity knowledge, I suppose you could say, that could harken back all the way to like when World War I was going on? Because that's what this sounds like. You have a very fast childhood up until the age of 10 or 12, and then all of a sudden you are considered an adult in a broad sense. There were people still getting married in what we consider Western countries. There were still girls being married off at age 13 and things like that. Yeah, being technical, I am wrong, but I'll convince you otherwise. That's what it reads like to me. Like he's using incredibly, and I mean incredibly, outdated definitions of the way we identify. Unless I'm misinterpreting what he's saying here. I don't know what he's saying here, but the idea that children from as young as 2 or 4 have their identity set in stone by that age, and then everything else beyond that is just performative, which we know, for example, gender is performative. Oh, there you are. Okay. Anyway, yeah, there are still kids in America married off at a young age. There are certain states where it's still legal and things like that. It's disturbing. It's fucking disturbing. But anyway, when the egg is fertilized and starts to multiply into the initial cells of the zygote, the first structure that develops is the structure that eventually develops into the anus. So at one point, everyone was just an anus. It's just sad that Peterson never managed to grow past that stage. It sounded like erroneous phrasing for between 2 and 4 are the ages that are perfect to be indoctrinated. Why am I still on this screen when I'm talking? Fallen. There you go. And that's absolutely it too, is like we know, psychologically speaking, between the ages of 2 and 4, or maybe you could extrapolate that out to like 2 and 6, when you're in those formative years, when you are below the age of 10, is the best time to get your child learning certain skills, learning certain traits, getting into certain habits, because they carry those through their life. I should get my kids to start cleaning on a regular basis. But what are you doing? Oh my god, he keeps making noises over there. So like there is a genuine concept to be made here about like developing certain skills when you are as young as 2 and 4 and 6 and 8, getting into the habit of certain things, getting into, yes, the formative ideas around your identity to be certain, but does a psychologist cover all areas or do they only do specifics? Good question. I don't know what kind of specifics he would have knowledge of. Because there's psychology, there's psychiatry, there's other avenues of it, so it's hard to say specifically. And I've heard some skepticisms around psychology as a science to begin with, but I won't get into those. Yeah, they're formative years, but you don't look into I am a boy at that age for existence. Exactly. Sabercat, hello. Have I seen Peterson's video on autism? It's woo-woo mixed with market garden of word salad. We could have a look at it. We could certainly have a look at it. To Peterson and his fan base, promoting your child to understand anything beyond heteronormativity is indoctrinating your child. Did we mention he's a Christian? He is a Christian, and heteronormativity is a fundamental concept from Catholicism, if I'm not mistaken. Cisgender heteronormativity. Before they had a phrase for being cisgender, You know, the Catholic Church does not like trans people. He's clinical. Yeah, that's right. There's clinical psychology. I don't know what the differences are between different types of psychologies. Anyway, Fox, there you go. Let's keep going.
It's a fundamental human reality. It's well recognized by the relevant, say, developmental psychological authorities. And so the
relevant, say, developmental psychological authorities, those being Jordan Peterson?
idea that identity is something that you define purely subjectively is an idea without status as far as I'm concerned.
That's a completely ridiculous concept. The idea that identity is something, what did he say?
Define purely subjectively is an idea without status. That identity is something that you define purely subjectively is an idea without status as far as I'm concerned. I also think...
So what does that even mean? Like, the idea that identity is something you define purely subjectively is an idea without status, and yet routinely we are seeing people define their own identity. As far as I'm concerned, that's just my bigoted ass opinion. Yeah, he's not actually saying any, like, I mean, postmodern neo-Marxism, a Nazi dog whistle.
I think it's unbelievably dangerous for us to move towards representing a social constructionist view of identity in our legal system. The social constructionist view insists that human identity is nothing but a consequence of socialization, which is entirely true. Everything that you're doing right now, Jordan Peterson, is socially constructed. That's the point. There's an inordinate amount of scientific evidence suggesting that that happens to not be the case. And so the reason that this is being...
An inordinate amount of scientific evidence providing that, suggesting that's not the case. Like what? He's clouding his transphobia and obfuscating terminology. Absolutely.
Initiated into law is because the people who are promoting that sort of perspective, or at least in part because the people who are promoting that sort of perspective know perfectly well that they've lost the battle completely on scientific grounds. It's implicit in the policies of the Ontario Human Rights Commission that sexual identity, biological sex, gender identity, gender expression, sexual proclivity all vary independently, and that's simply not the case. It's not the case.
Yes, it absolutely is the case. What the fuck? Everything you... incredible. Everything you just said was wrong. That was the most blatant example of Peterson being outright incorrect that I think I've ever seen. You know, I can actually understand what he's saying in this specific example. If you want to see how out of his depth Peterson can be, watch his debate with Matt Dillahunty. I've seen bits of that. I've seen the video where he's debating with Matt Dillahunty about art, and Peterson makes the argument that art cannot exist without God, without belief in God. And it's like he can't back up that stance. He just makes that statement and he cannot back up the stance. What are you doing? The cat's making some kind of noise over there. It's like a clicking noise, like he's scratching himself or something. You're such a dodo. You met smarter blades of grass.
Scientifically, it's not the case. Factually, and it's certainly not something that should be increasingly taught to people in high schools, elementary schools, and junior high schools, which it is, and it is being taught. I included this cartoon character that I find particularly reprehensible, aimed obviously at it as it is at children somewhere.
The gender unicorn. I've seen this picture. Hang on, let's see if we can find the gender unicorn. Let's see how. Let me see if I can find it. The gender unicorn. I find this particularly reprehensible. So the gender unicorn talks about... Let's look at the actual image here. Let's bring this up. What's offensive about it? It's offensive because it doesn't fit his particular worldview. It doesn't fit his particular narrative. The gender unicorn, gender identity, female, woman, girl, male, man, boy, other genders, gender expression, feminine, masculine, or other. Choking on ashes, welcome to the Rogue Room. How you doing? Sex assigned at birth, female, male, or other / intersex, which I suppose they do technically identify it, but your gender assigned at birth is generally female or male. They don't list you as intersex. Or if it is found that you are intersex, they tend to, like, the idea of corrective surgery to, like, fix an intersex person is unfortunately common. Physically attracted to women, men / other genders. Emotionally attracted to women, men, and other genders. What in the world? Can I open this in a new tab so I can, like, blow it up? There you go. What, like, find one single thing on this particular chart here that is offensive. Find one thing here that he finds particularly disagreeable. What's the issue? This is literally just how things are. There's nothing about this goes beyond what should be considered common sense. Generally speaking, you can argue all of these things are well, you're not arguing it. Zasum, welcome to the program. How you doing? Amazing me how much effort people put into finding justification for being shitty to other people while just being basically decent, then going about one's day takes so much less effort. Absolutely. True, that is quite offensive. The unicorn is not, in fact, corn. Now knowing that you're going to send in various colored unicorns. Binary split, welcome to the program. How you doing? When people think that queer people existing is an agenda, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, like, that's the thing, right? In all my personal endeavors, I try to be, and I'm honestly trying to improve my response to certain people in chat, even, yes, indeed, trolls in chat who are asking invasive questions about sex and gender and sexuality and all that sort of stuff. I try to be as welcoming and accepting as I possibly can. Right? And I try to elicit that in real life as well. You know, I don't want to have this kind of attachment to specifically disdain for anyone, no matter what their viewpoints on me or gender or sex or whatever. Yes, there we go. Why is that not the gender unicorn, huh? What do you want to tell me about, Draco? No, I don't think you're a troll, Flintlock. And you can ask questions and I can answer them to the best of my ability. But like looking at this is just an informative chart. What would he prefer as the alternative? What were we talking about to call the channel or the community? Well, Rogue Room is now like I guess the formal like name of the room, but more like the name of the viewers. You lot, you lovely people sitting there in chat. You know, Rogues Gallery was one that I was thinking of, but Rogues Gallery specifically relates to criminals. And I kind of feel like that works still, because be gay, do crimes. Lots of crimes. Cat's just vibing. He's hanging out over there. Look at him. He's hanging out over there. Look at him go. Wanted input as food for thought. Yes, no, rainbow corn is actually a real thing, yes. Modern yellow corn, same with carrots. There's a whole bunch of different varieties of carrots, different colored carrots, and a whole bunch of different varieties of colored corns as well. Yeah. But quite frankly, eugenics happened so that we have one nice, concise color in common usage. Something called Rogue Planet. Could be an idea. I don't really have much of a galactic vibe, though, is the thing. Anyway. So yeah, we come back around to the gender unicorn, which Peterson finds particularly offensive. Let's hear why he finds it particularly offensive.
That contains within it the implicit claims as a consequence of its graphic mode of expression that these elements of identity are first canonical and second independent, and neither of those happen to be the case. I think that... Canonical,
like Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord canonical, or like what's he going on about here?
The inclusion of gender expression in the bill is something extraordinarily peculiar, given that gender expression is not a group, and that according to the Ontario Human Rights Commission, it deals with things as mundane as how behavior and outward appearance such as dress, hair, makeup, body language, and voice, which now, as far as I can tell, open people to charges of hate crime under Bill C-16 if they dare to criticize the manner of someone's dress, which seems to me to be an entirely voluntary issue. So I think that the Ontario Human Rights Commission's...
this seems like a really extreme stance to take. And again, it very much... And you remember, this is 4 years ago now. This is quite literally 4 years ago now. But, you know, making the connection, making that stretch, that mental stretch. Been great watching, but you got to get ready for bed. Rightio, Rooster. Have a good sleep, friend. These social issues seem so manufactured. Just treat others the way you want to be treated. Yeah, I guarantee he would demand and expect respect from transgender people, while at the same time, outright, while outright disrespecting them and their pronouns, their name, their gender expression. If he saw a particularly non-passing trans woman, someone who, you know, maybe hasn't had facial hair laser, for example, or has not started taking hormones, or maybe her voice doesn't pass very well, or anything like that, he would outright refer to her as a him. He would outright refer to her by the wrong name if he happened to know a dead name, and doesn't see anything wrong with how disrespectful that is and how hurtful that can be to that person, and to transgender people as a whole. And yeah, like, as you said, these social issues just seem so manufactured. Honestly, people like Peterson look for something to distract. Like, this is not really a major issue. This is in no way a major issue at all, and it never has been. They're just looking for something to distract you from and to get you outraged at. On any side of the political spectrum, you know. He does look different from 4 years ago. He's aged a bit in the last 4 years. Avery, welcome to the Rogue Room. How you doing? You know the number of people who saw serious legal repercussions under this law? 0. Funny how that works. Like, at best, you know, if you classify these things as a hate crime, they're acting as though if you misgender somebody, you're going to spend the next 10 years in prison, right? Which is not going to happen. At worst, you're probably going to... There's a subreddit that does a daily update for C16 arrests. Please link it to me. There's a, when you accidentally see a trans friend's dead name, me unsieges. Oh, I love that. That's great. Oh, goodness. But yeah, like they're acting like they're gonna face jail time. They're acting like one of the major things that they argue against here. It's honestly a lot like how people will say socialism is bad, right? They'll say socialism is bad. They'll say communism is bad, and all of these different things. But the real issue with failed socialist and communist, here we go, arrested Canada Bill C-16. The real issue with past communist and socialist environments that have failed, or that have led to really bad things, is not communism or socialism necessarily, but authoritarianism, right? And that's the argument that is being made by people like Peterson here, is that if you start saying this is hate speech, that is hate speech, the argument they're making, let me just try to get my head around this. The argument they're making is that it's that slippery slope thing again. The moment you say you can't misgender somebody because it's disrespectful, you know, at most you're going to face a slap on the wrist, if anything. But they're acting as though, oh, if I misgender somebody, the cops are going to come along, they're going to drag me off to prison, and sooner or later you won't be able to say anything against the government, you won't be able to question anything at all, and it's going to fall into an authoritarian Nazi regime, and they're going to put up these big concrete walls between the streets, and you're going to need a passport to go get your groceries, and you're only going to you have to stand in a bread line. Like, they're going to... This is the argument they're making, right? They people like Peterson flagrantly believe that the moment you start saying, please respect a person's pronouns, that it's going to elevate to the point of outright authoritarianism. It's fear-mongering. It always has been. Soviet Union, China, North Korea. Socialism is bad, and fuck the commies. Anarchy is where it's at. Has there been a good video game representation of an anarchistic social system? Tabit, welcome to the Rogue Room. How you going? Pronouns, please. Love you, Rogue. And Marxism. I feel like you can't really tell who did and did not grow up watching Sesame Street. Yes, indeed, honestly. Bit of philosophy. Should we read a bit of Jordan Peterson? I should get a copy of 12 Rules for Life. Oh, goodness. I saw it in the store the other day, and I'm like, oh, no. It's, like, right there. You have something for me? Hit me with it. They don't believe it, but they'll pretend to believe it because the pretense is useful to them. Yes, exactly, Solace. Like, this is an argument made in bad faith. He knows he's making an argument in bad faith. And the reason he knows he's made an argument in bad faith is because he's trying to influence people to think his way as essentially a measure of control. He's power hungry. He likes the idea of having an audience who's rallied up behind him and is going to encourage his viewpoints to the world. And the more that goes, it's, well, as the title says, news, politics, and narcissism. In a lot of ways, Peterson is most certainly a narcissist. He values himself, his opinion, and less so his appearance. But, you know, he has a certain, you know, generally speaking, Peterson has a certain university professor aesthetic. And what that says, we come back around to symbolic interactionism. We look at the way that he presents himself in the, you know, the style of suits he wears. Also, the C-16 bill. Week 191, Bill C-16, arrest Halley, 0. Anyway, if we look at pictures of him, like Cyber Pronouns 2077, if we look at the way he presents himself, and this is the reason he is so potentially dangerous, or just is so dangerous, look at the way he presents himself. Now, of course, he looks a bit disheveled. This is the same article we were looking at before. He does look a bit disheveled in this picture, but he's got that kind of blazer that professors wear. He's got the button-down silk shirt. He's got the lightly colored slacks, the leather belt, the leather slip-ons. He looks like, yes, he looks like a cunt. Obviously, he looks like a cunt. But he also looks like a textbook image of a university professor, which says to a lot of people, you see someone dressed like that, and he looks intellectual, which, of course, he is an educated individual. He's been to university, but we've already discussed the idea that he may have, you know, paid his way through that. But he presents intellectualism. And to a lot of people, that seems respectful. And there are a lot of people who are not able to deduce the
I see you've brought
the specific deception. Conquest of Dread, welcome to the Rogue Room. How you doing, friends? Sadoro, welcome to the Rogue Room. Hello, Raiders. How's it going? Thank you for the raid. I hope you're all well. My name's Abigail, and we're talking about Jordan Peterson for some reason for the past hour and a half. Well, no, actually, the past 40-ish minutes. Before that, we were talking about Star Wars and Star Trek. And now we're talking about Jordan Peterson for reasons unbeknownst to me. Idna, Wapditch, welcome to the Rogue Room, folks. How yous going? You've met people dressed like someone you'd think is smart, but they open their mouth and dumb came out. Yeah, we got onto Peterson. I don't know how. Check out the Discord for Betty Peterson. There's another Peterson. There's more than one. I don't know how we got onto this topic, but we got into the subject of symbolic interactionism, and the way that he presents physically. We didn't get into the philosophy thing. Let's read a bit of philosophy and distract ourselves. Let me have a look in the Discord really quickly. Oh no. It's face app. It's face app. Oh my god. Can I regale to you something? You can chat, Con Man. You've always been able to chat. Yes, was there like, there shouldn't be followers only chat on or anything like that. Oh, hello. Hello. There's Baby. There's Smudge. Really good article about JP is titled Iowa's Jordan Peterson strongest supporter. Now you think he's dangerous by Bernard Schiff. There we go. It was a 30-minute wait. Really? What? Why? What the hell? I didn't put that on. I did not. What? I haven't got that on. What the hell? What is going on here, dude? Are you serious? I never put that on. Who put followers only mode on? Are you serious? I did not do that. If there is a mod who can somehow do that, do not do that in my channel. Are you serious? No wonder nobody could chat from the raid. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. I'm so sorry, everyone. It doesn't say that anymore. I never turn followers only mode on. Ever. So, if there is some way that somebody has managed to turn that on, I'm not happy. But unless Twitch has somehow done it to me, I don't know what the situation is there. What the fuck, dude? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? I didn't even know that. Oh my god, I'm furious. Yep, there you go. You can turn it on. Bernard can turn it on. So it must be a thing that mods can turn on. You just turned it off. You just enabled followers only. Okay. It seems to be that people can turn it on and off. I do not like that at all. Followers only mode, 0 minutes, any followers. Yeah, I do not like that. Yeah. I do not like that at all. I mean, we got to keep an eye on that. Holy shit. I hate followers only mode. Anyways. That was the thing, yeah, from the last mass follower thing. We had a follow bot like last stream. I was praising your Disney sequel, rant F Disney. That's so annoying. I'm so sorry, everyone. Oh my god. Just like, I'm gonna take that sword and commit harakiri. Anyway, that's frustrating as well. Lovely analysis, Peterson. You keep trying to refer people to good critiques of him anytime you encounter an actual fan. It's baffling, honestly. Yes, we are lefty as all heck. We are lefty as all heck. Yeah, in a video game, I'm gonna commit seppuku in Minecraft. Is there a good computer game of anarchism working successfully? Limited between... hang on. They had a limited release between July... Wait. 1936 to 1939. It was published by CNT and made in collaboration with the National Confederation of Labour. Wait, what? You're fucking with me. Well, MDHJ, welcome. Welcome, everyone. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I did not know. But we were talking about, CNT. We were talking about this, yes, the symbol of Jordan Peterson. Not the man at the moment, the symbol of Jordan Peterson. We were talking about the aesthetic of Jordan Peterson. The look of Jordan Peterson presents a certain image to certain people, of course, who will just listen to his idea. There's a lot of people, and it's remarkable how prevalent this idea is. Not specifically, yeah, he looks drunk in that picture. He does look like a classic drunk philosopher type, which is not necessarily a bad thing as someone who likes to get drunk and philosophize, which I still didn't do. All right, stop with the Peterson for a second. Let's read a bit of philosophy, because Fox redeemed it. Let's talk about. We already did that one. We did Immanuel Kant, didn't we? I think I'm running out of philosophy here. This is just about philosophy, so we're not going to read actual philosophy. It's just talking about philosophers. Actually, I think we discussed... I don't know if we discussed this one, but this was something I mentioned on a stream a little while ago. He looks drunk in that picture, yeah. Jordan Peterson can die. So can everybody, technically speaking. Goodbye, cat. You got to go get some sleep, Dread? Have a good one. All right, so this one's interesting to me. There is no subject... about no subject... Is there less philosophizing than about philosophy by Friedrich Schlegel? The German historian and poet Friedrich Schlegel is generally credited with introducing the use of aphorisms, short, ambiguous sayings, into later modern philosophy. In 1798, he observed that there was little philosophizing about philosophy. Metaphilosophy. This is where we're going now. Implying that we should question both how Western philosophy functions... You're welcome. And its assumption that a linear type of argument is the best approach. Schlegel disagrees with the approaches of Aristotle and René Descartes. I still can't remember how to pronounce his name. I know the pronunciation, but it always eludes me whenever I read it. Descartes, I don't remember. Saying they are wrong to assume that there are solid first principles that can form a starting point. He also thinks that it is not possible to reach any final answers because every conclusion of an argument can be endlessly perfected. Describing his own approach, Schlegel says philosophy must always start in the middle. It is a whole, and the path to recognizing it is no straight line, but a circle. Schlegel's holistic view, seeing philosophy as a whole, fits within the broader context of his romantic theories about art and life. These value individual human emotion above rational thought, in contrast to most Enlightenment thinking. While his charge against earlier philosophy was not necessarily correct, his contemporary Georg Hegel took up the name... Is it Georg or George? Is it Georg? Georg. The only reason I say is it Georg is because that's how they referred to one of the mages in Dragon Age Origins. The mage's name was Georg. Georg. No E on the end. Georg, yes, Georg is a name. It is a name. In the same way that I didn't know Hermione was a name until Harry Potter existed. But it did. Regrettably, Harry Potter exists. Anyway, took up the cause for reflexivity, the modern name for applying philosophical methods to the subject of philosophy itself. Anyway, no such value, no more of such vague formulae as the right to work or to each the whole result of his labor. What we proclaim is the right to well-being for all. She made that name up. I think Hermione is a real name, if I'm not mistaken. Let me have a look. Well, of course, when you look it up nowadays. Here we go. The name Hermione is a Greek baby name. In Greek, the meaning of the name Hermione is well-born, stone. Feminine name derived from Hermes. In Greek mythology, Hermione was the daughter of King Menelaus of Sparta and Helen of Troy. There you go. So yeah, Hermione is definitely a name. Phil O'Sophie. How you doing? Hi, my name is Phil O'Sophie. I have not listened to Sophie yet. I'm not good at listening to new music. I'm terrible at it. Actually, on the subject, are we even listening to music? We are, but it's almost next to no volume. It is the lo-fi soundtrack, so, it doesn't really matter that much. Anyways, it's 10:30. Fill your ears with Sophie. I'll try. I'll do my best. It's also a type of flower. That's correct, yeah. I'm going to stand up. I'm very fortunate there's been no wardrobe malfunctions with this outfit. The cat has left a clump of hair on me. And I am going to go grab myself... I don't have any alcohol. Man. Dude. It's 10:30. Do you know where your ethics are? Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. If you have a fidget cube of some description, sit there and just fidget for a bit. That's just fidget for a bit. Just do this. I'll be back shortly. Okay? Don't go away. I love your faces. If you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing with Twitch Prime or regular Twitch. Or there's a $1 tier on my Patreon. That'd be nice. Be back in a moment, folks. let me tell you, folks. Let me tell you. There ain't nothing better than finding a mundane term like melon to insult someone with. You know what my favorite is? Walnut. If you find someone being an absolute obtuse imbecile in some kind of discussion, just go, that makes no sense, you fucking walnut. It's great. I love it. It's, it's just like, it's baffling. It's baffling. You're not denigrating or deriding somebody. You're not actively really harming them by calling them a fruit or a vegetable or a nut. Well, I suppose if you call someone a nut, that could be construed as ableist in the scheme of, for example, Muppet's a good one. In the grand scheme of things, you could argue that calling someone a nut, calling someone crazy, calling someone insane, is arguably ableist against mentally ill people. But anyway, I like walnut. I like eating walnuts as well. They're quite nice. You were moving house, you have evangelical neighbors that caused you lots of trouble last year. Oh my goodness. That does not sound good at all. I'm sorry to hear that. Couldn't pour water out of a boot with directions on the underside of the... Oh, that's great. A fruit is a homophobic term? Yes, it is. I've heard that one a lot, regrettably. I've heard that quite a fair bit throughout my childhood, notably. A lot of people would call people a fruit or a fruit cake, which is a blatant homophobic insult. And they would mean it in a homophobic sense. They would specifically call someone a fruit or a fruit cake to refer to them in the derogatory idea of being gay as being lesser. Like that was the whole idea. By the way, Rena, I know you said you like me in denim. I like me in denim too. Was it you, Rena, or was it somebody else? I think it was. Anyway, somebody said they like me in denim. And Twitter likes me in denim. Can I just say that right now? I posted this morning, not intending to really get a ton of traction from it. I just want to brag a little bit. But I was asked to dress masculine for an event today, a family event, to make certain family members comfortable, and I thought, what could be more masculine than leather and denim? This is the whole outfit, if you were curious, and then just a photo of me being cute, with barely any makeup on, by the way. And I am not used to this many likes on my posts. It's exploded. I mean, it's only 139, that's nothing, but like... Dude, 139 people have liked this post. I'm like, why? It's great. I love it. It's fantastic. But yeah, my favorite thing is honestly, this is just Twitter getting together and saying, you know what? Fuck those family members. Fuck those people. Oh yeah, gender euphoria like crazy. You kidding? Like, I love this outfit. I am although. There's a comic you may have seen. There is a little comic you may have seen. I can't really show it on stream. But to describe it to you, check out my hot new romper. I'm so cool and attractive, and there's someone in an outfit very similar to this. It's, it's a one piece. And then in one panel, she's at the toilet. She needs to go to the toilet and has to take the whole thing off. That's literally the experience of a play suit. Ace day tomorrow. Nice. That's the play suit experience. Is just, I'm going to sit here potentially naked. It's awkward. It's very, very awkward. Ace day tomorrow. Fuck yes. Admire my commitment to health and staying in shape. I'm committed to lifting weights and doing cardio. I'm not committed to health. I'm honestly trying very, I'm putting my foot down tomorrow. Putting my fucking foot down. I'm only eating food from home, and I'm not going to buy any more takeaway. Not going to go anywhere for a fancy lunch or anything like that. I'm stopping I'm stopping myself from buying so much takeaway all the fucking time, buying so many energy drinks, buying so many McDonald's coffees. I hate it. I am doing really bad with regards to my diet, but I'm doing okay with regards to my fitness. So I appreciate the admiration of my commitment to fitness, at least, but my diet leaves a lot to be desired. That's the cat. That's the cat. My kids aren't here. Gotta keep a pooping shirt on you, yeah. Shamrock shakes. What are shamrock shakes? Don't give me something else to find that I enjoy. I bought a fucking mud shake. I forget what the brand is, but I bought a vodka mud shake last night. Oh, I'm now in love with chocolate mud shakes. They're great. It's 240 calories of chocolate milk with vodka in it. That's what it is, and I could live off that. It's so good. Lesbian love, baby. If I had a partner, that would be correct. Oh, I probably shouldn't spoil that for the internet, hey? I should keep the mystique around my potential marital or partnered status as a secret, shouldn't I? To elude, is she in a relationship? Make it mysterious. Anywho. Are we doing more Jordan Peterson, or can we do Barnaby Joyce? Can we talk about Barnaby Joyce? Anyone interested in learning about Barnaby Joyce, or should we stick with Jordan Peterson? Should we stick with Kermit the Frog here? Keep the mystique. I can't do accents. I can't. Rather not listen to Lobster Daddy. Well, we're not going to listen to him. The Chattanooga Choo Choo. Well, here's a thought. Here is a question that I want to pose to you, friends. Do you think empathy training works? Do you think empathy training works? Now, Barnaby Joyce is an Australian politician. Can't fucking wait until Mad as Hell returns. I'm going to have to look into that because I love Sean McAuliffe. He's a fucking legend. Barnaby Joyce has been a controversial individual in the political space in Australia. As an example, Barnaby Joyce is opposed to opposition. Is opposed to abortion. Let me see here. He expressed offense. Sorry, at a pamphlet. Let me see here. Interesting. That's different. Okay. Joyce, in 2014, Joyce spoke out in opposition to same-sex marriage. I'm looking through his political stances right now, and there's quite a few here where I'm like, I thought he was a far-right lunatic. But I'm looking through some of his stances, and I'm like, oh, maybe he's just said some crazy shit, and he's not as atrocious as I thought. Being opposed to abortion is a bad stance. Being opposed to same-sex marriage is a bad stance. In April 2015, Joyce called for a national debate on capital punishment in Australia. There was something recently about Barnaby Joyce, though. Believes that renewable energy causes problems with the energy supply. Has not taken a keen interest in supporting protection of the Great Barrier Reef. Yeah, I'm getting reactionary vibes from Barnaby Joyce. Bernard, that's it. He left his wife for his mistress. Yes, indeed. That was the controversy. I forgot about it. Anyway, it says to me, everything good he wants is wanted for a specific set of people. That seems to be largely the vibe that I get from him. Okay, but so it seems like he's, whatever side of the coin will benefit him the most at any given time. So Barnaby Joyce is very much an opportunist politician. Looks like a cunt, sounds like a cunt, but he does seem to have a good take here. You can't redesign people's brains with empathy training. Former Deputy PM's comments came after Andrew Laming forced to have training following complaints about his behaviour towards women. This is why I asked the question. The Nationals MP, Barnaby Joyce, has cast doubt on government-ordered empathy training, saying you can't redesign people's brains to learn an innate skill. Now, I'm not saying you can't learn empathy, but I think, the situation with Andrew Laming here in Australia, for those of you who missed it, Andrew Lamming was the guy who was caught taking photos of a woman bending over and the alleged online harassment of his constituents. And he's also announced he's going to be quitting politics at the next election. He remains a member of the Liberal National Party and will continue to sit on government benches where the coalition holds a one-seat majority. So this guy who has been outed as basically a sex pest is not leaving political office. Not Barnaby Joyce, but Andrew Lamming. This guy is not leaving office until the next election. Now, let me ask you this question. If I was working at a supermarket and I whipped my phone out and there was a girl bending over to grab something from the bottom shelf and I started taking photos of her underwear, do you think I'd have a job at the end of the day? I wouldn't. I would not have a job at the end of the day. And yet, because this Andrew Lamming bloke is a politician, seemingly he's able to keep his position despite the fact that he was literally doing what I was just saying. He was literally taking upskirt photos of girls and then harassing people. But the government has stated they're going to give Andrew Lamming empathy training. I don't specifically agree with Barnaby Joyce in that you can't learn empathy. I think you can learn empathy. I just think this particular situation is probably not going to lead to any substantial results, especially considering that Lamming is being let off with a slap on the wrist here. Andrew Lamming is being let off with a slap on the wrist, being able to serve out the rest of his time as an MP until the next election, rather than being outright fired on the spot as he should be. You know? Some people are just incapable of empathy. I mean, yes, there are definitely people who are incapable of empathy. Most certainly, yes. Very logical and somewhat aggressive take. I love being a little bit aggressive. You got to be a little bit aggressive. You'll just leave this here. Electra reading a transphobe for filth. I've not seen Pose. No, I have not. I have not seen this. Aggression. Hang on, we'll come back to that. Let's continue with Joyce. So, Barnaby Joyce, who volunteered to attend an empathy training session organised by the Sydney Morning Herald, said he did not believe the type of empathy training ordered for Lamming was effective. Don't think you can redesign people's brains, but you can create the environment where people feel protected at work, and I think that's what we've got to do. Dude, why am I agreeing with this man? This is the problem, right? Empathy training for Lamming is not the solution. Creating a better work environment for the people that are feeling harassed is the solution, right? So, yeah, I hate that I'm agreeing with him. I definitely think, I'm definitely going to put this commentary out there, like what we've heard of Barnaby Joyce. Like we mentioned before, Circuit Overlord, welcome to the Rogue Room. What we've heard of Barnaby Joyce is he certainly seems to get himself into some hot water and knows how to put out a statement that will get people back on his side. That's what I'm reading into this. Putting the onus on the victims rather than the perpetrator. You think so? Because I think the idea of creating a better work environment, especially in Parliament, where all these issues have stemmed from recently. There's been a lot of discussion around, especially the way women are treated in Australian Parliament, with the situation around Christian Porter and numerous other sexual assault allegations. What was the name of the girl who claimed she was raped in Parliament House? The circumstance should not be train the men to be better. The circumstance should be change the entire environment. Remove the people who are causing the problems in the first place. And this is the issue, is we talked about Brittany Higgins. We did talk about the Big Swinging Dicks Club, which was a group of men in Parliament, allegedly. A group of men in Parliament who were, I forget what exactly they were doing, but they were basically being fucking gross. Remove the state, remove all of it. Dismantle the government. Having a good statement isn't reflective of their values, it's reflective of having a half-decent PR intern. You're not wrong. I get the feeling that they had a PR intern that told them, Joyce, this is what you got to say here. Did I cover the UK policeman who's a Nazi? Oh, which cop are there so many to choose from? Agreeing on one point with someone who's been slimy for so long feels like walking barefoot in a pig farm. Is it mud or something else between your toes? Yeah. This is the thing, right? There's like, yeah, like Discount Seth Rogen said. It sounds like Barnaby Joyce has got a good PR person working for them who's like, listen, you've had some controversies. Maybe you should say something good to get the people back on your side again and make our political party look a little less shit. Because Barnaby is for the Nationals and, well, this is Liberal MP Andrew Laming. Okay, the Liberal National Party. Dude, this is so confusing. Is Barnaby in the same party as Laming? I can't tell. Your public relations major and shown out shit statements like that every week for class projects. The thing is, honestly, the idea of, the idea of PR seems so logical. Right? The idea of putting out a statement. Thoughts on this? Oh, good lord. Yeah, no, I agree with Katie Jane McCats. Fuck right off with this. And that reminds me of the Autism Squad car. We did the Autism Squad car recently. Where it's like, transgender people and autistic people and autistic transgender people, me miss, have not had good relations with police. This is not a good look. Yikes. Anyway, yeah, you would think that PR is pretty logical, pretty rational sort of stance to take, right? Like you would, generally speaking, let me just think for a second, like putting out an image, putting out a message that says to a lot of people, hey, we're okay, we're good. You would think it would be easy, but it's astounding how wrong a lot of different, let's say companies, politicians, celebrities, etc. How often they manage to get it wrong. How many times we've seen a YouTuber apology video and they completely, flagrantly miss the point. Autistic and fucking hate the police and hate CBTs. CBTs in which context? You know what? I hate ABA. Our van is full of candy. Former United States VP Mike Pence is going to run for president. Fucking Christ. You know what worries me is that he operated under Trump's administration as vice president, and he's intimately familiar with the things Trump wants to do. And we know Trump is an outright fascist. Like, we are well aware that Trump is an outright fascist. But Mike Pence is a career politician who was his vice president, which means he's a potentially very effective fascist. You know? Trump wanted to be a certain person from about the 1930s, 1940s, but don't get me wrong, he absolutely had the star power to do it, but I think Pence has the political power to potentially make it happen. Kind of worries me. Yeah, I do not want a guy like Pence in charge of the biggest first world nation. You know, one of the world's superpowers. We do not need somebody like Mike Pence in charge of that. Community behavioral therapist. They had the ability to have a gun in the US. Oh my god. A lot of people seem more scared of Pence than they did Trump. Yeah, Trump was ineffective. Trump was good at riling up his audience, riling up his base. And yeah, they did storm the Capitol. But at the end of the day, I don't think Trump, like as much as Trump wanted to go as fashy as humanly possible, I just think, at the end of the day, Trump is one of those people who thinks he's smarter than he is. Whereas, honestly, I don't think I've even heard Pence speak, and that scares the hell out of me. I don't even think I've actually heard Pence talking. How he elucidates his points. Anyway. I'm gonna have a nap. Dying made you tired. I can imagine dying would make you tired, Rena. Have a good nap. When Q stormed the Capitol, they had Pence as a traitor, so you really do not think Pence would win if he runs. Fingers crossed. Soundstorm, fingers crossed. Pence would be quietly effective at making progress towards a fascist theocracy. Yeah. He's explicitly not passing the vibe check. Charisma. Thank you, Chokin. That's the fucking word I was looking for. Charisma. Trump has charisma. He's able to hold on to the attention of a group of people. He's able to say a lot of things that, quite frankly, like I mentioned before, he's not particularly intelligent. He's just manipulative. And that seems to be a large percentage of his base as well. It's like they're not particularly smart, but they have certain very strict viewpoints that they want to adhere to. And they're, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Particularly, fervent, I guess. Yeah, when you're a star, they let you do it. He says stuff that a lot of people amid his base would say as a joke. You know? Pence is somewhat intelligent, more importantly, he's manipulative. Yeah, gullible zealots, and if you put someone like Pence in charge of those gullible zealots, they could absolutely be persuaded to do even worse things than the Capitol raid. Pence's fellow congressman called him Mike Dents. 2000 Republican, more coded language than nowadays. For anyone who wants a very brief explainer of political theory, 120 seconds and fun. Alright, let's have a look at this NBSP.
Hey, call me. What is it, Kulak? I am busy. Have you seen my...
Hold on a moment, let me turn the volume up. Not that far. That'll do.
Bagels anywhere? I should have a couple of them left. Your bagels? You mean the people's bagels. What? There was a need for bagels amongst the populace. Therefore, your share has been redistributed equally amongst the people. And they're gluten-free. What? ANCOM, you of all people shouldn't be accepting handouts from the state. What? No. Don't think of it as a state. Think of it as, mutual aid from a friend. You can't just be a statist when it benefits you. We're supposed to be anarchists. You're not even an anarchist. Your entire philosophy is contradictory. Hey, Kami, you got any more of this guy's bread? Ooh, I am going to go hopping on all of your asses. Nazi! Oh, Nazi! What is it, ANCAP? I'm trying to play Call of Duty. A headshot? You fucking leftist stole all of my bread. I know. I had some. It was pretty good. You really should have defended your property better. Well, I want it back, but I don't want to violate the NAP, so you have to do it. Fine. Good. Now give it here. What? No! My bread now! I need to move out of this fucking house.
Oh, it's still going. This isn't over yet. There's still, is it literally his Patreon credits, or is there an ad at the end? I think it's an ad by the look of it. Blinkist, what's that? He's still going.
Hi, I'm an anarchist. The only book I've ever read is The Bread.
It's an ad. Anyway. that honestly, that reminds me distinctly of Jack's films. I used to watch a bunch of Jack's films until I realized 50% of his videos were ads. Like, you would get halfway through the video, and then he would just start an ad read, and it would be the rest of the video. And I'm like, you're kidding me, dude. You're fucking kidding me. You have a 5-minute video, and 2.5 minutes of it is an ad? What the fuck? So, yeah, I stopped watching Jack's films for that particular reason. Fucking sponsors, man. There's a good Renegade Cut video on Pence. Not worried about him yourself. He really lacks the guts to be a threatening fascist, unlike, say, Dan Crenshaw, who is crazy enough to appeal to the MAGAs. That's the big thing right now, isn't it? You know. So hang on. You have to be unable to critically... So what have I missed? Hang on. Unable to critically think or unwilling for it to work. Unwilling for which to work. What have I missed? I feel like I missed something here. What did Draco say? It feels weird to call Trump charismatic. If you've ever listened to him speak, you'll know what I mean. It's strange. It's strange. Because he is charismatic. Certainly is charismatic, but it's in a strange way. Alright, what's this? Here's a link for community behavioral therapists. Okay, let's have a look at this. Marietta Police Department's newest team provides a welcome addition to changing the landscape of mental health calls. I can't read the whole thing, but I can read the initial part of it. Marietta Police Department recently rolled out its new community behavioral health assessment team, CBAT, which sounds like a burger, which pairs professional expertise and officers to better handle mental health issues while in the field, while also supplying those in crisis with the resources they need. Lieutenant James Gruel and Sergeant Matthew Embry supervised the CBAT team, which consists of one licensed clinical therapist provided by Riverside County and one Marietta police officer. Both the Marietta Police Department and Riverside County Sheriff's Department, Temecula Station, have come together and partnered their CBAT programs. We are facing the same issues in terms of an increase in calls, Embry said, because we work closely with the Temecula Sheriff's Station and we have a very good word. It goes off. Look at the gear though. I know, yeah, like, does this scream therapy to you? Does this scream like, hey, you're going to be treated fairly and effectively when you're having a mental health crisis, if you're having a psychological breakdown, for example? Yeah, let's send somebody who has a pistol on their hip and a body vest and all of this shit. I'd be fucking terrified this would not make matters easier for anyone. Maybe it should be named Reese Seagun. What's this video? His apology video. Oh yeah, Jack's film's apology video. What's his apology video? I think I have seen this actually. Yeah, I think I have seen this.
Right.
What?
There's something I need to tell you guys. I
Mr. Sir, welcome.
emotionally manipulated you into clicking this video.
Oh shit, I just made you click with a vague ass title and a thumbnail trick. Oh!
I've seen that one. I can't stand YouTuber rap though. I'm not going to put up with the rest of that. If you want to see something similar, again, if you haven't already seen Little Nas X's apology video for Call Me By Your Name, responding to all the people he upset over the music video and the Satan shoes. The cops are becoming less peace officers of the law and more like armored military, which has basically always been the case, but it's getting more and more obvious in recent times. You've been talking with a lot of people who are former Trump supporters. Of course, they refuse to accept responsibility or admit they were wrong and keep trying to excuse their choice to vote for the orange hairball. At least they're seeing the error of their ways. Yeah, I mean, there's been a bit of discussion around the idea of can you reform Nazis, right? In recent times, I've seen a bunch of people online talking about the idea of can we reform Nazis? Can we reform these people who have spent a significant chunk of their time actively working to repeal the rights of other people, actively working to harm other people, in some cases committing violence under this regime, under their political ideologies. Is it possible to reform those people? Should we bother trying to reform those people? Or should there's been some suggestion of the idea of ostracism instead? Should we work on the concept of ostracizing those particularly negative people? Sunk cost fallacy, basically, yeah. I'd look a bit silly to climb out now. Trump's appeal to stupid, angry people who are not angry without direction is the sort of people cheated by capitalism but will blame Mexico for why they're not millionaires, and Trump plays on that. Yes, exactly. I have never met a Trump supporter myself either, but I have met a lot of people who hold reactionary, very far-right viewpoints in real life. You gonna go to bed, Fox? Sounds good, have a good sleep. According to Red Dwarf, you could rehabilitate Hitler, but not Rupert Murdoch. Here's the sort of people who think Trump has charisma. Trump fans sink savings into Iraqi dinar scam. The president's true believers are convinced he's going to make them millionaires with Iraqi currency. Alrighty, here we go. Let's have a look at this. And yes, Lil Nas X is amazing. Trump supporter Hayes Coates Cios runs a North Carolina pool maintenance company, but she's got a side bet that she thinks might make her fabulously wealthy, the Iraqi dinar. The currency is nearly worthless outside of Iraq, but Cios bought millions of dinars in April after watching a video of President Trump at a 2017 press conference. In the clips, Trump says with characteristic vagueness that all currencies will soon be on a level playing field. In reality, Trump was talking about trade imbalances with China, but like other Trump supporters who have fallen into the dinar investment scam, which has existed since at least 2012, Kotsios interpreted Trump's rambling statement as proof that the Iraqi dinar would soon be worth much or even more than the dollar, making anyone who had been smart enough to buy in early a millionaire. I love my president, and was like, oh, this is the thing that you should never say. No one should ever say the phrase, I love my president. Okay? You should never love your president. Okay, the president is not, like, as much as you like to think the president works for you, the president does not work for you. The president, any politician, is not someone you should be standing, folks. Anyway, Kotsios told the Daily Beast. The purchase, Kotsios said, cost her and her husband somewhere between $510,000, counting the cut to the company that sold them the dinars. 2 of her adult children have bought millions more dinars too. Even the First Lady can't say this? Nope, not at all. Not even the First Lady can say. Never sported Trump. Knew he was a criminal scumbag from day one. Yeah, exactly. I'd love it if Bernie was president too, but you should still criticize every person who becomes president or prime minister or anything like that. You have to criticize them. You have to keep... and this is the problem. There's a lot of people who are not heavily invested in the idea of politics, not heavily invested in the idea of we have to protect certain groups of people from certain policies that the government would like to instate, and the president, like any other politician really, is a tool of a greater system designed to, control and manipulate the greater populace. In any other country on earth, I love my president means I will be killed if I don't publicly proclaim this. Yeah, whereas these people legitimately mean it. They live in the free democracy of the United States. But they actually genuinely do hold these viewpoints of like the president is someone that's like a rock star. It's like Elvis or the Beatles. They treat their specific president as a rock star. It's kind of wild. It's really unsettling to see it. Some people are so stupid they end up hanging by the tips of their fingers from the rims of their own anuses, trying desperately not to fall out. Oh, goodness. I do like Bernie, don't get me wrong. Bernie is good. But why? I thought I changed that. Oh my god, Botwick. I swear I changed that. Let me fix that. Where the hell? Are you serious? Yeah, no, I did edit it, but I didn't edit it in the timer. Hang on. Because I'm a dingleberry. I forgot about editing the one that's a routine timer. Stupid piece of garbage. There we go. Let me fix that one up. The president is a tool. There we go. That's the more correct one. If you want to hear me talking about accessibility and gaming news and other things, I was on an episode of the Inconsolables podcast recently. Don't doubt that if Bernie were president, I'd be protesting his bad policies just like any other president. Exactly, that's what you should be doing. And a lot of people will argue the point of like, it's never enough. I saw somebody state earlier that eventually progressives are going to become conservatives, because what happens if we reach a point where all the things that progressives want actually go through? Are they going to then move on to new policies, move on to new things that, we need this now, we need that now. And that's an interesting take, honestly. Hard to deduce what that could possibly mean, but I don't necessarily think so. I think hardline progressives, the point of progressivism is to progress, really, to keep going, to keep pushing. But I think there are some people who are like, oh, what's going to happen when the left gets what the left wants? And then, I don't know, what happens if it's not good enough? We always find new causes, yeah. And the reality of the situation is a lot of the new causes are not really, like, there's not enough momentum in the political space to see the real kind of progress we want to see. That's the thing. It's like, just because there's a lot of progressive ideas, there's a lot of progressive people right now, doesn't mean the politics is moving in a specific direction that's going to get to where we want it to go within our lifetimes. It's a snail's pace. In the US, the 1980s Republicans are now the same level as today's Democrats. The US has beeline to the right over the last 40 years. And that's the thing I've heard too. And here in Australia as well, there's a lot of... our government is very right-wing, very conservative, and so is the United States, and so is the majority of the world's governments, honestly. So the idea that progressives are somehow going to take over, it's as crazy as the idea of the trans athletes discussion. It's scaremongering, it's fear-mongering. They're going to take this idea that the progressive left are going to overtake the world and, install a radical utopia, which is not going to happen. But politically we've been shifting backwards for quite some time. Just because you got gay rights in it, just because gay people can get married and have a cake made, doesn't mean that things are any better. It's a radical utopia. Isn't that an oxymoron? Probably is. It's 11:15 at night. I'm not thinking straight. but I'm gay. When am I ever thinking straight? Just love the gullibility of MAGA chumps, like how he has active GoFundMes monthly to literally keep his hotel chains going under the banner of his 2024 election platform. Oh yeah, wasn't there was a thing recently. Hang on. There was, I'm trying to think, I saw a story, if somebody knows what it is, I can't think of the correct phrasing to search it, but there was a thing where Trump was signing people up to like a one-time donation, a one-time campaign donation, and was charging them a subscription instead, you know, was charging them a monthly payment. I don't know how big or how small it was, but people would get coerced into signing up to supporting Trump's campaign, and you know they would think they were making a one-time donation, but instead they were being subscribed to routinely be giving money to him. Is that what you mean, Sabercat, or is there something else? Or they have ashes. So, conservatives only talk about the culture war. Well, in some ways it seems to be a major talking point at the moment because it keeps people distracted from the real issues. You know, it keeps people distracted from real big political issues. Like, where's all your tax money going? Well, true, utopia is a perfect peaceful society. Radicalism denotes something other than peace. Radicalism denotes change, I would say. Would I feel comfortable watching a 10-minute video, a good extract of the book? I'm not sure. Let's have a look. What is it? Oh, The Conquest of Bread. An extract of The Conquest of Bread by Peter Kropotkin. Shall we watch this? What do you think? Relating to or affecting the fundamental nature of something. Far-reaching or thorough. Thorough. What do we think? Radicalism means addressing the root causes of issues. Nothing more, nothing less. That makes sense with regards to, yeah, utopia is not exactly, like, we look at the idea, we'll come back to this in a moment, we look at the idea of utopia as something that is explicitly perfect. You know, when we say something is utopian, what we mean is the outward appearance is that everything fits nicely and there's no problems. But often utopia is still a situation that comes at a great cost. You know, I would dare say there are certain people out there living in certain parts of the world who, to them, their existence is fairly utopian, in the sense that they've got everything they could possibly want and there's never any problems. Oblong Burbank, welcome to the program. How you doing? And yes, I am referring to rich people. I'm referring to rich people who, generally speaking, do not have a lot of problems and have the fortunate privilege to overlook a lot of problems that society has. You know, they have enough money, they have enough things going on in their life that distract them from the reality of the world. Now, there are, of course, rich people who do not subscribe to that model of ignorance. But my own personal interpretation of utopia is that it is ignorant of, you know, issues that the utopia is built on. Does that make sense? So of course there is the idea of a utopia that isn't built on top of such a foundation. Is this the story? Let's have a look. Trump campaign reportedly forced to refund more than $122 million to donors. I may be wrong there, but that's just the way I've interpreted utopia. And then, of course, when you mention that radical is addressing the root causes of issues, what that reminded me of is, of course, radical feminism, which tends to lean very heavily into attacking the concept of patriarchy, you know, which is said to be the root cause of many issues that affect women largely. But feminism is not outright solely about women. That's a misnomer. But Neither here nor there. Anyway, former President Donald Trump's re-election campaign issued a staggering sum of $122.7 million in refunds to supporters in 2020, giving back nearly 11% of the money it raised. Look at that. 11%. That's 11%. That's 11%. $122.7 million is 11%. 11. According to an investigative report published by the New York Times on Saturday based on an analysis of Federal Election Commission filings. Beginning last summer, the Trump campaign and the company that processed its online donations, WinRed, began to initiate the use of pre-checked recurring payment boxes while processing online offerings, Times analysis revealed. According to the report, unless donors inspected the fine print of an online disclaimer and manually unchecked an opt-out box, the donor's credit card would be charged weekly until election day arrived. In the lead up to the election, the campaign made that disclaimer increasingly opaque, the Times asserts, and eventually added a second pre-checked box that automatically doubled a donor's contribution. Eventually, financial institutions became inundated with fraud complaints from Trump supporters who unknowingly agreed to these recurring charges. According to the Times, several banks and one of the nation's larger credit card companies confirmed that at one point late in 2020, these cases accounted for up to 3% of all fraud complaints received. Forbes has reached out to Trump's representatives for comment, but did not immediately hear back. Trump spokesperson Jason Miller rebuffed the claims of widespread fraud, telling the Times internal data determined 0.87 of its WinRed transactions were subject to formal credit card disputes. The fact we had a dispute rate of less than 1% of total donations despite raising more grassroots money than any campaign in history is remarkable. Despite Trump's defeat on November 3, the campaign's push for contributions did not die down. Claiming without evidence that the election had been stolen, Trump urged his supporters to fund his efforts to stop the steal. According to Federal Election Commission filings released in January from WinRed, Trump garnered $255.4 million in political donations from his supporters in the 8 weeks following the 2020 election. There should be some kind of there should be something in play there to stop that from even happening. Trump and the RNC raised more than $2 million daily on WinRed from early November through December 14, the day of the Electoral College vote. Email requests were a crucial component of Trump's request for cash. CNN reported that the former president's campaign sent more than 400 emails and 130 text messages appealing for donations in the first 30 days of the election. This was interesting. I remember reading something about how people would be receiving emails and text messages and things like that, proclaiming that Trump had said, and of course it's all spam, it's all nonsensical, but they would send these messages that made it seem as though Trump knew exactly who that specific person was. Often geared towards boomers, like you said, Storm. Like, they would send these messages to these people who are like, oh, Trump hasn't heard from you, Trump has been, Trump needs your contribution to the campaign, yada, yada, yada. Some made-up bullshit that's supposed to coerce old people into thinking that Donald Trump really knows and really cares about them and desperately needs their old people money. Combat, yes, combat. So let me get back a bit. You got to hop out, NBSP. Thank you so kindly for hanging out today. A utopia would be a 10 on the scale from 1 to 10. 10 is perfect. There are no 10s. 10s are an illusion. Utopia would be something to build towards, but never a destination. Not even to bring in that everyone's views of utopia would be different. It's effectively heaven, right? It's effectively the idea of heaven. Heaven cannot perfectly... Heaven is illogical. The idea of heaven could not possibly exist, because everyone's idea of what heaven could be would be... everyone's idea of what heaven could be would be different. Utopia literally means nowhere, does it really? A group of nice statues standing around being perfect. Means that the problem to solve, there's still culture and activity happening. Well, ideally. Perfection does not change since it's already perfect. True. Let me go through this. Mid-16th century, based on Greek not topos, place. The word was first used in Utopia 1516 by Sir Thomas More. There you go. I did not know that. There's a fun fact for you. The book Utopia. I wonder if they've got that at my local library. You aren't going to stop humans creating shit. Bloody monkeys keep doing monkey things and nothing except death tends to stop them. That's another thing that occasionally comes up when you're discussing utopia. The idea of, what's it called? The idea of, some people have this bizarre perception that at some point in the medical future we're going to find a cure for death, and that, you know, becomes another utopian idea. It's a delusion, you know. Oh, when they cure death, I'm gonna do this. Like, it's simply, I mean, it's almost a Futurama idea. We're not considering that utopia is good and things are radical, aka tubular. Side in a good way. Tubular, man. Should we have a look at this Conquest of Bread excerpt? The Conquest of Bread, Peter Kropotkin. The first two segments of Chapter 1 of Peter Kropotkin's work, The Conquest of Bread, written in the late 19th century, argues the case for anarcho-communism, disparaging the notion of private appropriation, but the segments I have chosen are an eloquent criticism of capitalism in particular. More curing biological death. Yeah, the ideal situation will be curing stuff like cancer and, I guess you would say things like, what's it called? That degenerative brain disease that I feel like I have at the moment. God, I can't even think of it. We're going to cure death by transferring our minds into computers. Well, arguably, if we survive that long to be able to do that, I feel like humanity's going to wipe itself out in the next 200 years. Dementia and Alzheimer's, yeah. So, like, if we were to be able to create, first and foremost, computers are not going to last forever. You know, I'm worried constantly that my computer's just going to fucking break on me one day. So, first and foremost, and they're designed that way. Remember that computers, technology, are designed in such a way that they are eventually going to break, so you have to buy more computery stuff. You have to buy a new phone or whatever. You gotta go to bed, Draco? Have a good one. Thank you so kindly for hanging out tonight. You have a sub, Michael. When did that happen? When did you get a sub? What happened? Did I miss something?
Welcome
there
back,
you go.
supporter of the cause. Love this
thank
place.
You so much. Thank you so kindly, friend. But, like, yeah, the concept of... I know this is a crazy idea, but I think the sheer idea of being able to upload our minds into a machine that would allow us to retain our consciousness would stem from... Well, I mean, I suppose being uploaded into a machine doesn't need to exist outside of capitalism. But, for example, let's just hypothesize that you were to be uploaded into a machine and we were to still live under some manner of capitalistic society. Would you be uploaded into a machine and then be in control of, say, like, let's just say, for example, you still need to work to be able to pay for your place in the machine simulation or whatever it is. However this is going to work. So, would you, say, take control of a surgical device? Would you then become a surgeon who lives inside of precise surgical machinery? So you still have a job, you still have a career, but you no longer have a physical body. You only, you exist on a hard drive. You exist on RAM or whatever. But you still have to work in the real world in some capacity to be able to retain your place on that storage, on that system storage. And thus, perhaps, in the context of a virtual reality that you might be uploaded into, would that virtual reality then be utopian? Perhaps. What the fuck are we talking about? That's how Matrix robot uprisings happen. Do you think so? Oh my god. Be a robot and have a virtual inner world. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like you would be uploaded into a simulation, but your place in that simulation would be earned. You wouldn't just be able to exist in the simulation. You'd have to serve a purpose. You know, hear about the cryo place in the US that ran out of cash. It's an amazing but awful story. Well, that's, yes. That's awful. Need to drop the kids off the pool. Okay. Communism only works on paper, just ask the CCCP. Now you're inspired to write. Go forth and write. I'm inspired to write lately. I want to write something gay. I've talked about writing something particularly gay of late. I really would like to. Should we listen to The Conquest of Bread? Should we listen to Lodatz's The Conquest of Bread reading? Shani, welcome to the program. How you doing? I hope you're well. What do we think? BTG the King, welcome to the program. How you going? I'm so sorry we had that followers only mode thing before. That fucking sucks, dude. Here's the hydration for you. In the late 1960s It's the late 1960s and a California TV repairman named Bob sees an opportunity to help people cheat death with the new science of cryonics. But freezing dead people isn't easy, and apologizing for the mistakes you make along the way, even harder. Oh yeah, it's an absolutely dramatic reading, I'm sure. How is your day? My day's been alright. My day's been pretty good. My day's been exhausting. Fallen. There you go. My day has been very exhausting. I am tired, dude. I've been to a family event, and then I went out with some other family, and we went and had lunch, and actually I've eaten a lot today. I've eaten way too much. Stop talking about food. For goodness sake, Abby, you're 72 kilos. You don't need to worry that much. But yeah, I've had a pretty good day. I've had a pretty decent day. Anywho, what were we talking about? Oh, this is a what's it called? This is Audible, not an article. This is an audio thing. Okay, I think, alright. Weird. Anywho, what do we want? Do we want to do the Peter Kropotkin thing? Pronouns extension. Who's got a pronoun? Who's got your pronouns? Have you got your pronouns, folks? Remember to set your pronouns. Alright, I think we'll have a look at this. Because this has been sitting here this entire time. The field of cryogenics, or cryonics, or however you want to say it, has always struck me as particularly odd. It's like hypothesizing that one day we'll be able to bring people back from death if we just freeze their meat. And I suppose, like, mechanically it makes sense. Cryogenics doesn't work because your cell structure gets damaged by the extreme cold. Yeah, it feels like a high fantasy. It feels like a completely crazy, out of this world science fiction concept that just simply would not work. I think there may be another method, perhaps in the far future. Like we've seen similar things to cryogenic storage in sci-fi that allow for like long distance space travel, but even then I still don't think the concept it really has any basis in reality without absolutely killing everybody on board, sort of thing. We're not leaving our solar system. I just simply don't think we're leaving our solar system. It's not going to happen. Minds stored in the VR simulations. Personal robotic bodies that perform labor to pay for upkeep of the minds. The minds want to connect with others, and that's where everything goes wild. Ice crystals destroy cells, turning them into effective mush. Yeah. So useless. Why am I sitting on this screen? Let's come back to this screen for a second, because we're still talking. Didn't they freeze, like, am I correct or am I incorrect in water in our cells crystallizes and expands like bad freezer burn? Yeah. It's the way that we want to preserve human bodies to be able to, keep them alive for an extended period of time simply wouldn't work with freezing. Freezing wouldn't do it. So is there an alternative to that? I'm not quite certain. But it doesn't seem like... Yeah, it doesn't seem like a thing that we'd be able to use. Nearest system is only 4 light years away, but that's a vast abyss if we can't find a way to it. True. Yeah, we were talking digitalization before, talking the idea of uploading our minds, our consciousnesses into machines. Well, you still recommend the podcast? Here's a written version. Let's have a look. Let's continue with this. How a TV repairman, a mortician, and a ragtag crew of futurists cryonically froze the first man. Robert Nelson had no professional background or even a college degree, yet he found himself at the center of a nascent scientific movement, and then things got messy. In 1962, Bob Nelson was just an average TV repairman, but he did have one distinguishing characteristic, an odd obsession with the theory of cryonics. Is it a theory? I want to be pedantic for a moment. Is the theory of cryonics actually a theory? Or is it a hypothesis? Chloe Online, welcome to the Rogue Room. Total body clones? Yeah, a possibility. Yeah, I'd say it's a hypothesis. It's not a theory. There's a lot of discussion around... we need to distinguish what a hypothesis is and a theory is. Theory is evolution, for example. Evolution has been rigorously tested and observed. We can safely state that evolution is a thing that exists because there is theoretical evidence of it. In the same way that, what's another very good theory? What's another very obvious theory I could use? The theory of cell mutation. I don't know. Cabbage Media, welcome to the Rogue Room. Gravity. Yeah, gravity is a theory. Relativity are theories. Things that have... Germ theory. Perfect. Things that have been rigorously tested, peer-reviewed over a significant length of time, and the science isn't set in stone in theory. We have a good understanding of what's going on with regards to, say, germ theory, relativity, etc. A hypothesis is someone had an idea, perhaps based on, generally speaking... A hypothesis is still grounded in some level of reality. It's still grounded in some notion, but it doesn't have any testing behind it. A hypothesis is we have this idea, we have this broad-reaching idea around a certain thing, but we haven't tested it yet. We can't verify that this is a real thing. I'm being pedantic, I'm being semantic, but, I might as well. We allow evolution to be falsifiable, just no one is able to do it. Exactly. Nelson, like all cryonauts, believed that humans could be frozen after they died and revived in a distant future where scientists had found a cure for aging. So together with a crew of enthusiasts he met at a convention, Nelson began to plan and execute his own cryonics program. I'm not even sure what the theory of relativity is, actually. That's time and space, isn't it? I'd have to revise. Anyway, he soon found himself at the center of a nascent movement, and the crew managed to freeze its first man in 1967. But how exactly a high school dropout with no scientific background reached such unprecedented heights is a story for the ages. Even though Bob Nelson wouldn't quite accomplish what he set out to, his story is nonetheless like science fiction. From TV repairs to cryonics. Born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1936, Bob Nelson's early life was rough. His father, Elvin Nelson, left before he was born, and his mother was an alcoholic. Nelson's stepfather, meanwhile, was a mobster named John Fats Buccelli, who was imprisoned for the so-called $3 million Brinks robbery in January 1950. Dr. James Bedford is prepared for freezing shortly after his death by Bob Nelson himself. Nelson proved to be resourceful when it came to fixing 1960s television sets, but his real passion lay between the pages of Dr. Robert Ettinger's seminal 1962 book, The Prospect of Immortality. Ettinger theorized that death theorized that death was more like a disease than it was an inevitability, and it could be cured. He added that a man could be frozen today, and then thought centuries into the future where technology to achieve immortality existed. Theory of relativity. Sorry. Oh, I already read that bit. Sorry. Nelson was obsessed with this notion, and he became president of his local Life Extension Society. That sounds really strange. Life Extension Society. In Los Angeles in 1966. He even got to meet Ettinger before the doctor died of cancer, and was cryonically frozen himself, which only proved to inspire Nelson more. Nelson told This American Life in 2008 that when he heard an advertisement for the first meeting of the Suspended Animation Group, an organization that believed in cryonic freezing, I remember going and thinking, I'm not going to be allowed in because I'm not a scientist. I went in and I came out voted president. What does that tell you? Oh, goodness. Hang on. Hypothesized transportation of matter between two spaces without crossing the intervening space is possible. Now to focus in on the science to test the bejesus out of it. Yes, we're back on Twitch, Deadlift. How you going? Speaking of deadlifts, I'm deadlifting tomorrow. The president is a tool. Why is that not playing with the audio? What's going on here? To instate and policies that the government would like to instate, and the president, like any other politician really, is a policy that the government... It cuts off. Why does it cut off? Oh, dang it. I hate the clip system on Twitch. It does that so often. You have to like recut the clip. Damn it. I can do it later. Anyway. And so in 1962, he became the president of the Cryonic Society of California, or the CSC. The non-profit largely consisted of dreamers eager to be preserved in order to experience the idyllic future promised by 1960s science fiction. Are these people even scientists? Rarely up on here in the morning lately, caught up on some work. Pretty good. I'm glad to hear you doing pretty good. Unfortunately, nearly everyone involved in the venture was a complete amateur. Many of them were old or sick and thinking of their own deaths. Even the scientists that Nelson consulted were skeptical about the feasibility of cryonic preservation. Nonetheless, the organization found a volunteer in 1966. That volunteer was 73-year-old psychology professor named Dr. James Bedford. Excuse me. Before dying of kidney cancer, he agreed to have his body put on ice so that experts from the Cryonic Society of California could then process it for immediate freezing. Is there, like, we already covered, like, the idea that freezing, like, legitimately just putting your body in ice is simply, like, if you get frozen in ice, let's just say you're climbing Mount Everest and you collapse from exhaustion and you just freeze to death. They're not going to be able to find your body and then jolt it back to life later on. It's simply not going to happen. Your body's molecular structure is not going to be able to be rebuilt unless, you know, like these people seem like they didn't have any further hypotheses beyond they're going to cure aging in the future and we're going to experience the what's the phrase used for that specific type of sci-fi aesthetic from that era, from the like that 1950s, 1960s? There was a certain name for it. You know what I mean? Like a certain type of sci-fi, a certain visual style to the sci-fi. Like they had guns that were like rounded. Atom punk, maybe that might be it. Now, of course, yeah, this kind of aesthetic style, this kind of shit, where this is the way the future looks, Fall Guys. Like, you know, this is their version of sci-fi back in the 1960s, 1950s, which looks fucking cool, don't get me wrong, I like the visual style of it. I think, actually, the Outer Worlds kind of embraced that visual style in some ways as well. Pulp, Flash Gordon, yeah, sort of pulpy. Too many people read Captain America and thought, ooh, I can do that. Now, it's not to say... excuse me. Here's the thing, right? It's not to say we might not come up with some kind of way to revive a frozen body in the future. But for example, if you were to, in some capacity, create some kind of a machine or chemical injection, some kind of bath that you can sink a frozen body into and it reinvigorates the life of the body, entirely possible, I guess, hypothetically. However, you know, you've got two problems here that I see. You know, if you manage to keep a body completely frozen intact to the point where if you thaw the body out, it would look as though it died 2 minutes ago, not 200 years ago. Right? You know, hypothetically, if you could keep a body on ice for that long and then revive it, who's to say the brain would be the same? Here's the thing. If, you know, we already discussed that being frozen for that long would turn the body's cell structure to mush, essentially. Even though it would be frozen in place, it wouldn't be able to be revived just by thawing it out. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a problem. If someone were frozen on Mount Everest. But yeah, ice crystal damage to the brain would guarantee death. Like the person, you could revive the body, hypothetically. Again, I'm using the term hypothetically, not theoretically. You could revive the body hypothetically, but the person is gone. Even if you revive the brain, even if you bring the brain back to life, that person is gone. So it'd be the same kind of concept as, say, you know what it vaguely reminds me of is like Bioshock Infinite. Booker DeWitt, when he dies, it's canonical that another version of Booker DeWitt comes across from another reality. Or rather, like, you know, the Booker DeWitt that died in this level is dead in that reality. He's gone. But when you revive, you're playing a new Booker DeWitt that got to that point and survived and kept going. That's the canon. That's kind of the vibe that I get from this particular thing. We're just like rambling at this point. But you know, you would have alternate versions of a person, or like the idea of cloning a person, for example. You know, just because you can copy their memories across or whatever, it's not the same person. We'd almost have to have a way to regenerate damage from ice crystals, including repairing neural pathways. What if in the future? Oh, dude, I just noticed this. I fucking love it. That's sick. Oh my god. Toyota Mike, welcome to the Rogue Room. Sorry for my incoherent sci-fi ramblings at the end of the night. I'm tired. Oh, I'm fucking tired. I don't know how people can stream just chatting for like 8 hours at a time. Electrolux R2D2, how good is it? Don't know how we got onto this topic, but your sci-fi obsession is masturbating to it. That's the grand thing about sci-fi though, right? Like, think about back in the 1960s. Was it the 1960s where they had, in Star Trek specifically? I'm trying to think, like, as far as I recall, there were segments where on the big screen in the bridge, the captain would be talking face to face with a person in video, you know, live across the galaxy sort of thing. And back then in the 1960s, the idea of that happening was complete wild science fiction, you know? The idea of video chatting to a person live. You know, they had phones, but they didn't have video communication of that nature. And for it to be, although, I don't know, do they? And yeah, now we can do it with glasses. Now we have a little box. We have a little glass rectangle that we carry around with us everywhere. We can do that whenever we want, in the palm of our hands. We don't need a giant screen. I could do that with my friend tonight after stream. I could video chat my best friend. We have a few 1960s sci-fi novels. Their scope is breathtaking. Modern sci-fi thinks even bigger, and that's impressive. Barbarella. I need to look up what Barbarella is. I can't remember. Best futurism is 1970s. So much technology that we now have is 100% based on Trek tech. Yeah, true. I think Star Trek, generally speaking, had a much more grounded, realistic view of science fiction. Whereas, you know, there are people trying to get, say, a lightsaber to be a thing. But I don't think it's gonna be. It's important to remember that, you know, Star Trek is science fiction. Star Wars is space fantasy. You know. Space 1999, I'll give that a look. Except we don't have automatic doors that whoosh at us. I wish. That'd be great. Can you imagine living in a house where all your doors were automatic whoosh doors? Oh, that'd be marvelous. You know, I want to go to bed. Whoosh. I already have like vaguely similar things. You know, like I could say to my Google Home, hey Google, set the kitchen to blue. It didn't hear me. Okay, it's in the kitchen. Hey Google, set the living room to 100%. Hey Google, set master bedroom to red. Hey Google, set master bedroom to red. It's giving me a result, but it's not giving me what I want. Hey Google, set master bedroom to red. Here are some pictures that match. Hey Google, you're a fuckwit. Sorry, I don't know how to help with that. This is why I'm not scared of the robot revolution. Because robots are fucking dumb. Hey Google, Siri is better. Now she's giving me the silent treatment. Thank you. It's giving me a result, but not what I want. Capitalism in a single sentence. Yeah, the computer or the next generation never did this. Tea, Earl Grey, hot. Oh, goodness me. What are we doing? This is like... We've gone so far off politics at this point. Cats are a-holes and we'll just walk past doors all night. Well, I mean, ideal situation is that... now my living room is like on full brightness, by the way. Ideal situation is you'd be able to just turn them off so the sensors wouldn't be constantly going off. Like, the scary idea, for example, is that you would, I have a smart home thing. Dad got me that, by the way. And fortunately, my smart lights that I got, which are the cheapest brand I could find, integrate with that, thankfully. But the scary thought is, if we were to get automatic doors, which you could install automatic doors in your house. You could, if you had the money for it, of course. But, if we were to have automatic doors, or like the stove is connected to a smart device, or the the lights, the fans, air conditioning, Roomba. I wish I had a Roomba. I used to have one. If we get to the point where everything is all interconnected in your household, it comes back around to that idea of, okay, you got a full smart house. What happens if the machine becomes malevolent? What happens if someone figures out a way to hack your smart house device and turn all of your devices against you in some capacity? Don't ask me how. Thank you for the hydration, Fallen. Humans with replicators will be bloody dangerous, and not because of weapons. Boston Dynamics, dog. Imagine an Alexa replicator. Turns out future AI is more holly than hell. Hey, Mr. Elysia, how you doing? Hey, Google, turn off the living room. Thank you. Actually did it this time. Don't say hi yet. Is that what they think? Is that what you think they did to your Google Home? Honestly, the Google Home, I have not had it that long. Maybe a few months since I saw my dad last, around Christmas. Either just before or just after is when I got the Google Home. And it's already fucking up. Like, I don't trust this thing because it's fucking stupid. It doesn't listen. Mr. Eligio, welcome to the Rogue Room. How are you doing, friend? I still can't believe we had that followers only mode thing on tonight. That was fucking annoying. I cannot believe that happened. Google Home is all about trans erasure. It doesn't realize my girl voice. You do realize accents can screw with Google's voice recognition. It does speak to me in an Australian accent, so I would think it would pick it up. I said your name right first try. I have a habit of doing that, and I'm quite good at it. Here's a movie from the 1970s. I can't read. They predicted if Alexa did go crazy. Warner Archive. Oh, I don't know if I trust this. I just don't trust Warner. I don't trust corporations, but I don't trust Warner in particular. We haven't gone through any of my stories. We did the Barnaby Joyce thing, and everything else was like Star Wars, Jordan Peterson, and now cryonics. This is a stream. Holy shit. This is good shit, though. Should we do a story before we end the stream? Should we wrap up a story before we end the stream? I've been thinking, honestly, about we need more Jetsons push button hygiene tech. I've been thinking about like my Excuse me. I've been thinking about my YouTube videos outside of my YouTube video essays, which I like doing the video essays quite a lot. A lot of effort involved. But I've also been thinking, you know, the stream highlight videos tend to do well, especially if I hit on like a trending topic. So I don't want to stop doing those. But there hasn't been anything particularly interesting today. 87% of Wikipedia's editors are men. It lacks diversity, despite the fact that Wikipedia is a page that anyone can edit. Like, what is that even saying, really? I could read that. It's an opinion article, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. We wanted Rosie, we got Roomba. I had a Hoover Roomba knockoff, which was okay for a while, but eventually it just stopped charging. Like, it reached a point where it just wouldn't charge anymore. It would sit on the dock for hours on end. You'd send it out, and like 10 seconds later, it would be coming back home. Like, what are you lazy shit? It's one of those situations where, like, the person's been working the job for 4 or 5 years, and they've just lost all energy for it. Hey Google, eat the Mormon at my door. That'd be good. I would like that. I would like when the Mormons come to my door if my robot killing device can just chew them up. It heard me! Hey Google! Go fuck yourself. Sorry, I don't know how to help with that. Yeah, modern technology is the perfected level of planned obsolescence. It absolutely is. Here's a big question. Will the 3 years waiting James Bond movie be crap or good? I don't know, actually. I've never gotten into James Bond. I'm one of those few people that never got into James Bond. I've never understood the appeal of it, quite frankly. Hey Google, do you have a taste for human flesh? I don't think it knows how to answer that question. Sometimes I swear it'll just like sit and ruminate for minutes at a time, and then it'll drop an answer on me. It's like, what were you thinking about? Hey Google, meow. I love that one. It just plays the sound of a cat. Goes, this is a cat. Meow. Speaking of, where'd my cat go? I was Google, is Steven Crowder a comedian? You enjoyed Craig's Bond, but let's be fair, Bond is a bit problematic these days. Oh yeah, the concept of James Bond. 1, he's a cop, effectively. 2, yeah, you got Connery's Bond was rapey, Dalton's Bond was meh, Moore's Bond was dopey, and Craig's Bond was way too intense. I think the idea of James Bond, yeah, like, let's just stick with the ACAB thing, which unfortunately means that lesbian John Wick is also ACAB. I hate that. I like Atomic Blonde. It's a good movie, and now I'm like, I can't like it anymore because she's a cop. I can't like it. Fuck 12. Big sad. I like Charlize Theron John Wick. Anyway. I might rewatch that movie though. It was quite fun. James Bond. The name's Bond. James Bond. Alright. I just thought on the subject of lesbians before we log off for the night. I'm pretty tired. I need to get some sleep. It's been good to come back after the weekend though, feeling at least somewhat refreshed after having not completely drained myself. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen got it right about Bond. Misogynistic, rapey bastard who is the spirit of the new age. Charlize Theron has always been a damn fine action hero. Yes, she damn well has. The name's Bond. James Stephanie Sterling Bond. No mention of David Niven, George Lazenby, or Barry Nelson. What about, forgotten his name now, Pierce Brosnan. The name's Bond, Gold Bond. Before we leave, kids with lesbian parents are just as healthy as other kids, study finds. What a shocking revelation that is. Kids with lesbian parents are A-OK. They're just A-OK, mate. They're just good. They're, yeah. No shit. No fucking shit. Who's shocked by that? Let's cover some queer stories tomorrow. For now, let's go say hi to Jordan. Jordan, who's doing some... is it quizzes? I forget what this is. She has a tendency to watch these shows and they're like answering questions that the people on the show... What is it? I don't know what the show is. Anyway, thank you everybody for hanging out tonight. You've all been lovely. I love your faces. I'm sorry for the followers only chat thing. I didn't know. I'm a horrible person. I'll be live tomorrow at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Or Australian Eastern Standard Time. DST has changed things around, so see me live in about 21 hours. Give me 21 hours. I might even go live a tiny bit earlier. Trash Nomancer, welcome to the Rogue Room, formally. Let's do some queer stuff tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we're not doing... actually, before we do this... let's do this. Vote on that straw poll for the next Wednesday write-off stream game. Here are my socials if you've not already followed me on Twitter. Join my Discord. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. There is a Facebook page if you want to follow it. I don't care. And that's effectively it. Vote in that straw poll for the next... Wednesday write-off game, but this Wednesday I will be playing a little bit of Valheim, actually. I love your faces. I'll see you when I'm looking at you. Have a good one.
I think it's researching